This time we'll call to order the May 12, 2025 meeting of the City of Clearwater Downtown Development Board. This time we'll move to item 2.1 on the agenda, approval of the minutes. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the April 14, 2025 Downtown Development Board?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. This time we'll move to item 3.1 on the agenda. Approve the February financial statement for filing.
Good afternoon, Ann Lopez, CRA Assistant Director. This first item that I have before you is to approve the financial statement for the month of February. The total amount spent for February was $41,974.31. Those expenditures are outlined in your agenda item. At the end of February, there was a total of $572,462 that had not been encumbered, and that's either to a specific line item or to a specific program that the board has approved. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Are there any discussion of agenda item 3.1? Anyone here from the public desire to speak to agenda item 3.1? Hearing none, is there a motion?
Move to approve agenda item 3.1.
Second.
Second, okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Agenda item 3.2, approve the March financial statement for filing.
This agenda item is your March financial statement for filing. The total expenditures in the month of March were $6,945.97. Your ending balance of unencumbered was $62,263. Significant difference from the month before, but that was because the board approved allocating $300,000 of your future downtown initiatives to assist with initiatives to activate Cleveland Street. So we added that as something that the board has encumbered your funds to. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Is anyone here from the public desire to speak to agenda item 3.2? Hearing seeing none, is there any board discussion? If not, is there a motion?
Move to approve agenda item 3.2.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you. Agenda item 3.3, approve a community event grant funding request from Clearwater Closet to produce 6-month pilot pop-up event series in an amount not to exceed $15,000 and authorize the appropriate officials to execute the same.
Again, Ann Lopez, CRA Assistant Director. I have with me Austin Summer, who is the owner of Clearwater Closet, located at 624 Cleveland Street. And they are proposing a 6-month pop-up vendor market that would start June 28th. Each of these events would feature live music, community engagement, and local vendors with a strong emphasis on promoting physical, mental, and emotional well-being. This pop-up market is free and open to the public and will foster collaboration with small businesses. They already have partnerships set up with Restoration Cafe. The total budget for these 6 events is $22,500, and they're requesting $17,700 from the DDB. After reviewing your updated special event grant request policy and procedures, the staff is recommending an amount not to exceed $15,000 for this 6-month series. And with that, I have Austin here, and we would be happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Is anyone here from the public desire to speak to agenda item 3.3? Not, is there any board discussion or questions? Yep.
Did I hear them say 624 Cleveland Street?
Yes.
That's not
Chestnut, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Okay, any board discussion, questions?
I'll go ahead.
Mr. Marino?
Austin, welcome, my friend. Obviously, you've seen my face at several of your events, and I appreciate the work that you're doing in the community of trying to bring out some diversity in music and talent and clothing, and I've been to your shop, and I enjoy it. Help me understand the difference. I know you're asking for $17,700 versus a city recommended amount $15,000. Does that $2,700 difference make a big difference in the execution of your event?
I don't believe that it will, honestly, in the events that I've put on in the past. I try to keep the cost as like, I shop for stuff on Facebook Marketplace if I can, to be honest with you. So it's like a big goal of mine, you know, any funding that we're able to receive to be able to not just put on events, but to put on events that have like just a different level through, you know, just being able to pay people who are volunteering just because it's something that they believe in. Like the people who come out and have put up graphics or just set up, they're doing it, you know, I've had someone drive down from Tallahassee just because it's a project that they felt passionate about. But to be able to pay them, you know, more than just gas money, I mean, that alone would be able to make the events better. So I don't feel that there's a huge difference, just to answer your question, between what their recommendation was and what I was requesting.
Gotcha, thank you for that. I will support the city helping you out with this event. I appreciate your entrepreneurial spirit. I appreciate how hard you work. I've seen you at Market Marie every weekend it's open, out there sweating and hustling, sometimes multiple tents out there. Your empanadas are delicious. I will throw that at you. But I'm glad the city is taking a step in assisting you and getting off of just the footprint of Cleveland or being at the park and kind of expanding that footprint to you on Chestnut.
Yeah, I agree. I've had a few different interactions with Austin. I think that he's got great vision, and he seems to be very passionate to try and spur on some economic drivers, especially in an area that's hurting for that. So I think that his ideas are great, and I look forward to supporting this and seeing how those come to fruition.
Councilmember Albritton?
Yeah, I just wanted to chime in. Always looking for ways to support the downtown and to get people out on the street, and your event's a great event. I like what you're doing, and I'm glad to support it.
Vice Mayor?
Yes, so I want to echo that. I've also been to your event, and I enjoyed it thoroughly. One of the key features that I really like is that this is a series, right? And it builds momentum, so 6 in a row, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
I fully support that concept.
Thank you. I'm totally right. I think the same thing. It's like if you just do one event, there's always something going on around here. It's when you create something that they know every month I have to go to that, because that's what I do. It's the same thing every month. Market Marie.
Anybody else? I would just, and getting ready to say this more and more to other folks coming up here, asking for grants, to help us measure success. And so attendance and all those things to, you know, right now our staff is trying to do that for us, but these event operators that come in to operate these things and are getting the grants, it'd be helpful if you too would think before the events happen, the 6 events, you know, how are we going to measure success? How are we going to track the number of people who attended? How are we going to measure people who are drawn here for just our activity, not just they were down there already? Because that's really what we're trying to do here through the DDB, is try to motivate more people to visit downtown Clearwater. So thinking through how you can measure success and help us measure success. So if it comes back before us again next year, we're able to see what the results were from the amount that the city invested into this. Okay, with that, is there no other discussion? Is there a motion?
Make a motion to approve the agenda item.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you. Congratulations. Yeah. This time move to item 4, old business. I believe there is any. And if there's none, we'll move to item 5, director's report.
Thank you. Jesus Nino, Executive Director for CRA. As far as the DDB, we're very happy that we have a lot of momentum going right now for the downtown. And we're continuing to work very closely with the merchants and the community in general, because you have to realize that the community is more than just merchants. It's also residents and other organizations in the downtown. So our business response team, who basically goes out and visits with business owners, are continuing to be very active in the downtown. As far as projects, we're continuously working with St. Pete College to activate the downtown, specifically the 400-500 block. So we're moving forward with them, especially with events that are begin on June the 6th and the 400-500 block. We're also working very closely with the merchants to get umbrellas, basically, or shade structures for the 400, 500 block that can be, at least aesthetically or design-wise, be similar as far as colors, and they'll be able to choose different colors and so forth. But we're going to vet it all through them to the merchants to make sure we get it right and we have them happy. Engagement, again, we're continuously engaging property owners, business owners, residents in the downtown. And I do want to stress also that we're trying to be more conscious as far as how we advertise what we do in the downtown, whereas the DDB is funding items and where the CRA is funding items, because the CRA can't fund special events, for instance. So we're making sure that whenever we do fund something, that the funding entity is listed correctly on whatever social media that we put out there. In continuous improvement, I'm also charging staff to make sure they're continuously improving any kind of process we have internally. So for instance, we have special events. Right after the event, we sit down and we do a retrospective to see what the lessons learned are. And in addition, we're also looking at products with our economic development team. For instance, Placer AI is a data collection tool for the downtown. So whenever events do come into the downtown, we can measure through cell phone data how many participants were in the actual event, instead of just kind of just guessing. There's still going to be babies and children that don't have cell phones, but at least it's more accurate data than we have now. With that, we're happy that we're moving forward very intensely. Open to questions.
Any questions from the board, from the director? Councilmember Menino.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a comment. Appreciate all the work the team's doing. Regarding the umbrellas, I would just say I've been down there multiple times. One of the problems we have is wind does blow through Cleveland Street pretty hard. We have seen several occasions where the umbrellas aren't weighted properly in some of the locations, and they have caused problems blowing halfway down the street or tipping over. So if we are going to invest city funds into a program like that, just make sure that we're paying for the quality that's weighted properly and has the ability to close when not being used is very important.
Definitely. That's why the right stakeholders at the table is very important. That's why we have Public Works, Parks and Rec, and even the merchants. They've already given me feedback as far as the umbrellas they have now, where they've broken or just flipped over. So we're doing our homework.
Thank you.
Councilman Scott, did you have something?
I did not. Thank you, sir.
Anybody else? Okay, thank you. Move to item 6 on the agenda, board members to be heard. Anybody want to share? Okay. With hearing none, we'll move to item 7 on the agenda, and that is to adjourn the May 12, 2025 meeting of the City of Clearwater Downtown Development Board. We'll recess for just a few minutes while we change the nameplates and positions up here. You look fantastic. Yeah, we got it on camera now. So yeah,
Good
you're
for
ready to go.
you.
Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you.
Well, took care of that.
You're gonna wear that all day, right?
It's time to call to order the May 12, 2025 meeting of the City of Clearwater Community Redevelopment Agency. It's time to move to item 2.1 of the agenda, approval of the minutes. Is there a motion under 2.1 to approve the minutes? So
Second.
moved. Seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Now we'll move to item 3 on the agenda, citizens to be heard regarding items not on the agenda. Are there any citizens to be heard regarding CRA items today that are not on the agenda?
Good afternoon. It's great to see all of you again. Thank you for this opportunity to speak publicly this afternoon. Just a quick comment I'll read for us. Reconnect Clearwater, Inc. objects to the vacation of the street to the abutting property owner, which the City of Clearwater has the discretion to deny. Secondly, Reconnect Clearwater, Inc. has submitted a timely, better proposal to the CRA and City of Clearwater in a timely response to a notice of sale of surplus land seeking proposals. Reconnect Clearwater has made a better offer and proposal because it is for a higher offer of $1.5 million, payable in 2 installments with half as a good faith deposit on the start of construction, and the remaining $750,000 in 36 months or less upon project completion, and keeping a northbound lane of South Garden Avenue open to public traffic, in addition to the various public benefits specified in the proposal, which are in alignment with the downtown redevelopment plan. We request that our proposal and packet be included on the May 15th council meeting agenda. Thank you.
Any other citizens to be heard regarding items not on the Community Redevelopment Agency agenda today? Seeing none, we'll move to item 4.1.
Good afternoon, Jesus Nino, Executive Director for the City's Community Redevelopment Agency. Item 4.1, I'm going to have Ms. Tasha Hadley come up and present the business spotlight.
Good afternoon. My name is Tasha Hatley, CRA Specialist. I am honored to introduce Clear Sky in Cleveland, located at 418 Cleveland Street in downtown Clearwater, part of our Business Spotlight program. This is Keith Green, General Manager. Since opening in 2016, this restaurant has become a destination for both locals and visitors, offering a diverse menu that includes everything from fresh seafood to hearty entrees, all in a beautiful Mediterranean-style setting. Whether you're stopping by for a casual lunch or celebrating a special occasion, there's something for everyone. What sets Clear Sky in Cleveland apart is not just their food, but their deep commitment to downtown Clearwater's community. They have a long-standing history of supporting local charities such as Big Brothers Big Sisters, Salvation Army, and Habitat for Humanity. They have also played a key role in downtown Clearwater's growth, especially in the face of challenges during the pandemic, where businesses stepped up to help serve free meals to the community, showing true leadership and care for others. To help share their story, the CRA and Public Communications collaborated to create a video, which has been shared across all CRA social media channels, and a full article is available on our website at myclearwatercra.com. You can also see their full menu at clearskyatcleveland.com. At this time, we'd like to invite the trustees to view the video showcasing Clear Sky in Cleveland.
So my name is Keith Green. I'm the general manager of Clear Sky on Cleveland, downtown Clearwater. Our menu is just amazing, and we have a little bit of everything. You can come out with a party of 10, and 10 people can eat from different cuisines. Somebody can have sushi, somebody can have octopus, somebody could have our pan-seared scallops, short rib. You never have a problem choosing an item, except maybe you want to choose 3 items. We are not just a lunch and dinner place. Our breakfast menu is just as good as our dinner menu. We have lobster Benedict, Oscar Benedict. Our chicken and waffles is out of this world. Breakfast sandwiches, so you can just about get anything you like. Our sides are wonderful, fresh cut fruit. It's a wonderful breakfast, and I just wish more people knew that we did it.
I would like to introduce to you General Manager of Clear Sky on Cleveland, Keith Green.
Hi, good afternoon. I've since hired an acting coach, so I'll do it next time.
Did great.
Thank you for choosing us. Sasha did an amazing job putting everybody at ease. The staff had a wonderful time doing it. The pictures are amazing. We really appreciate everything you've done for us. We've been here about 7 years. We're looking forward to be here another 70. I hope so. We're getting busier every year, which is account for things that are happening downtown. Looking forward to the things that are going to happen in the future. But thank you very much.
Thank you. Congratulations to you. Clear Sky on Cleveland is a favorite of not just Clearwater residents, but folks throughout the area. So thank you for being a successful restaurant and business in downtown Clearwater.
Can I? Yes. Thank you so much.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Bruce, is it too late for me to come back?
We'll get you.
The Vice Mayor, if you want to share something?
Yes, I just wanted to add some behind-the-scenes information regarding Clear Sky with their deep commitment to downtown. During the pandemic, their level of commitment was a second to none, and they offered not only man-hours, but financial resources to help all of the merchants in downtown survive. And since then, you've always been a key part to the merchants and the survival of the merchants with all the challenges. And I personally thank Clear Sky for being such a key partner in downtown.
Thank you. Yeah. Want to add something?
Thank you, Mayor.
Councilman
Just to add to that, thank you for making the entire room hungry as well. The video and presentation, they keep getting better. Congratulations on the spotlight. And again, thank you. And there is no question about Clear Sky's deep commitment to Clearwater, and that's appreciated.
Thank you. Move to item 4.2 on the agenda.
Approve a downtown Clearwater commercial grant for Vital Life Fitness located at 1280 Court Street in an amount not to exceed $101,297.66, authorized the appropriate officials to execute same.
Hi, good afternoon. Julie Baltus, CRA Specialist. The item I have before you is a downtown commercial grant request by Vital Life Fitness LLC, doing business as Riff Fitness, who is also our April Business Spotlight winner. On December 30th, 2024, CRA staff received a grant application from Ben Gilbert, the owner of Riff Fitness, for a proposed project that includes, but not limited to, plumbing, electrical upgrades, new windows and doors, signage, and HVAC system improvements, totaling $184,177.57. The applicant will contribute a 45% match, amount totaling $82,879.91. Staff recommends approval of this grant in an amount not to exceed $101,297.66. Riff Fitness is more than just a gym. Their facility is designed to support stress relief, muscle balance correction, and total well-being, making RIF Fitness an asset to the area and its growing professional population. This grant request is in alignment with the CRA and the city's strategic plans. I'm here with the business owner, Ben Gilbert, and we are happy to answer any questions you all may have.
Does anyone here from the public desire to speak to agenda item 4.2? There's none. Is there any CRA discussion?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I knew when you guys came in the very beginning, and I knew that you just didn't have enough parking, and the parking behind was bad shape, so I'm glad you're taking care of that and maybe getting a few more spaces there. But, you know, we don't have a big gym downtown, and I always thought this could be expanded, so thanks for stepping up and doing this. I think it's going to be a great thing for everybody in the area. Thank you.
Any other discussion of the trustees? Is there a motion?
Yeah, move to approve agenda item 4.2.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I'd like to say something if that's
Yeah,
okay.
sure.
So first off, my name is Ben Gilbert. Thank you for the opportunity to improve my building and for the opportunity to improve my business in the downtown business district. I am a true Clearwater kid. I was raised in Clearwater. I graduated school in Clearwater. I cheated on Clearwater for a minute in Orlando in college, but I came back. I met my beautiful wife here in Clearwater, and now I live here with her and my two beautiful kids. I started my business out of my garage in my home here, and I've grown it to 2 locations both here in Clearwater. Every move of expansion I've done so far has been with the intent of making my business here in Clearwater my home base. I poured my heart and soul into this city to create something that I feel is truly special. I currently pull clients from all over the Bay Area, including Tampa and St. Pete, and they travel all the way to me because of the gym that we've created in the community, and it is truly special in my eyes, obviously in theirs as well. I want to continue doing this and adding to the community, and my next plan is to make the outside of my building amazing so that we can host free outdoor events, seminars, clubs, and more. The idea is to host these things free to build up the community, but also via this avenue, I know that my business will continue to thrive because of it. So I look forward to working with the city, and I thank you again for this opportunity.
Thank you. Move to agenda item 4.3.
Authorize the City of Clearwater Community Redevelopment Agency Executive Director to enter into negotiations with Tampa Bay Neighborhood Housing Services to acquire and rehabilitate the mixed-use property owned by the CRA located at 1105 Carlton Street.
Thank you again, Jesus Nino, Executive Director for the CRA. This item before you is a disposition of property, again located at 1105 Carlton Avenue, or also 1329 North MLK Avenue. This property was purchased by the CRA back in October of 2023 for approximately $350,000. I do have a map here for the public. You can see it just to show kind of a location of the property. It is located at the southeast corner of Carlton Street and MLK. I do have a few pictures here also for the trustees, so you can see the condition of the structure that's currently on this property. It is a 2-story building. So it's not in the best condition out there in the MLK corridor area in the North Greenwood CRA. This is the interior. Then the interior for the second floor, because it is a 2-story building. One of the reasons why the CRA is not demolishing this building is because prior to the creation of the North Greenwood CRA, the community did speak loud and clear that they wanted to preserve as many structures as possible out there in the North Greenwood area, especially the African-American structures along MLK. Unfortunately, a lot of structures have been demolished, so this one was purchased by us so we can preserve it. So whenever we did issue a request for letters of interest, that was one of our conditions, that whoever does put in a proposal, that their proposal does include the preservation of this building. So we did have 2 proposals that were submitted. The first one was quickly dismissed only because it didn't follow the criteria of what was advertised. The second one that was entertained by the evaluation committee was the Tampa Bay Neighborhood Housing Services. I think we do have Mr. Ernest Coning here in the audience. If he was able to make it in, I'm not sure. But either way, staff is requesting to allow me as executive director to enter into negotiations with the Tampa Bay Neighborhood Housing Services. With that, I'm open for questions.
Okay. Does anyone here from the public desire to speak to agenda item 4.3? Hearing none, is there any trustees' discussion? If not, is there a motion?
Move to approve agenda item 4.3.
Did you have something?
No, I'll let it go.
Oh,
Second.
sorry.
Okay?
That's fine.
No? If you want to share something, we got time.
I was just hoping for more. You know, we paid $350 above appraisal, which was above appraisal. And then with the ticket price of $1.3 million, only getting one retail space and one affordable home. It's a lot of investment, and I was just hoping for more
So
return on investment, you know?
If I may, Mr. Chair?
Yeah.
Basically, their proposal does call for, again, for the activation of the first floor as commercial space. Then the second floor would be basically a residential unit that caters to a certain AMI. I think it's 80% area median income below. Then there also, one of the criteria that, one of the requirements that was recommended by the North Greenwood Community Advisory Committee, or CAC, was for them to partner up with the Clearwater Urban Leadership Coalition for the abutting mini container project that's occurring. So hopefully working together does create a lot of synergy in that area, but it is a small structure. There was a single-family home also on that property, but that had to be demolished.
Right. Okay.
Anything else? Okay, ready to vote then. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you. Agenda item 4.4.
I have Ms. Ann Lopez to present this item.
Approve a guaranteed maximum price proposal from Biltmore Construction Company, Inc. of Bel Air, Florida, in the amount of $272,437 for the demolition of the former Fire Station 45 pursuant to the continuing contract awarded in request for qualifications 51-24, and authorize the appropriate officials to execute same.
Good afternoon again, Ann Lopez, CRA Assistant Director. The CRA acquired this property at 610 Franklin Street in 2019 to support the goals of the Downtown Clearwater redevelopment plan. This site contains 2 vacant structures that were built in 1975 that are no longer suitable for use. The proposed demolition includes asbestos abatement, building removal, and site grading. The existing asphalt parking will remain, and the site mandated asbestos monitoring and reporting will be handled by the contractor. This site will serve as temporary parking or construction staging for upcoming downtown development, which will begin in the fall of 2025. And once the work is complete, the CRA will prepare the property for redevelopment and eventual disposition. I have Joe DeSico, the Senior Environmental Specialist, here with me, and we'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Does anyone here from the public desire to speak to agenda item 4.4? And seeing none, is there any trustees' discussion?
610 Franklin Street.
Yeah, Mike, thank you. Any trustees' discussion? Okay, then we'll move to a vote if there's a motion.
Make a motion to approve agenda item 4.4.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you. Move to agenda item 4.5.
Downtown revitalization update.
Again, this is your item that you requested a while back, just for your own discussion as far as downtown matters. If you don't have any items, then we can go to the next item, but it's up to you.
Okay. Any questions, comments right now on that? Councilmember Menino?
Thank you. Question, the Gotham property, is there a date set for groundbreaking? Are we still in, does anybody know that yet?
I don't have the exact date, but maybe a city manager or someone else does.
I know that our interim planning director has been working closely with the developer and their team, and she might have an update. If that's okay.
Good afternoon, Lauren Matzke, Planning and Development. I don't actually have an update, but this is a good reminder to check in with them and see how things are coming along. So I know that they were set to mobilize in the next week or so, but I'll check in on how we're doing and ability to schedule the groundbreaking, because we have been having those conversations.
Appreciate you.
Thank you.
And then the last one was, I mean, you may be the right person to answer this as well, regarding, did you need to say something?
I will, but.
Regarding the affordable housing project on Cleveland Street Gateway. Do we have any update on that project?
No, I haven't checked in on that one either in a
Okay.
while, other than construction was progressing very well.
Looks
So
like
they've been using private providers for inspections and things, so I can check in on that and provide
Perfect.
an update via the city manager.
Thank you. Sorry to throw these curveballs and surprise
That's
you.
all right, absolutely, happy to help.
I appreciate the follow-up on that. Thank
City
you.
Attorney?
Thank you, Mayor. Just a minor point, just to answer Mr. Menino's question on the, because I believe his question was about Gotham, and just to make sure we're distinguishing the Gotham portion from the D'Annunzio portion of this. So the actual Gotham portion is on the old City Hall site. They have to close with us by March 1st of next year at the latest, if they would like to get the early closing incentive. So they're on the clock. They know they're on the clock in order to do that. They have not applied for building permits yet, but they know that they're on the clock, and if they don't do it, then they're going to lose the money, from the incentive that goes along with that on the old City Hall site. And to recap, that is the site for the apartments. By contrast, we have already closed on the Harborview parcel. Harborview parcel is for the hotel and the retail. For the D'Annunzio group, they already have their building permits. They've already closed. They own the property. And so just want to make sure I'm answering that question precisely, because you technically have two different projects there, even though they're partners. So.
Anything else on 4.5? Okay. That would move to item 5, Director's Report.
I'll keep this short, but same thing with the DDB. We have a lot of momentum in the downtown, so we're proud of that. We are working together closely with other departments, Public Works, Parks and Recreation, Planning and Development, to schedule a few meetings in the downtown sometime in mid-June, just to talk to the community in the downtown about all the development that's about to basically begin in the downtown. We'll keep you updated on the exact dates and when those meetings occur. As far as engagement, again, we're continuing to engage all the community stakeholders in the downtown. We are working with other departments, particularly General Services, Public Works, and Parks and Recreation, to move the lighting from basically to 400, 500 blocks. We can have that decorative lighting that merchants, right now we showed them concepts and they're loving it. So you can put it on your cell phone and kind of change the colors on it from Coachman, move it to the 400, 500 block. In addition, this is for the North Greenwood area. We're hoping that at the next trustee meeting, we bring you the mini container village agreement, working very closely with the coalition, the Clearwater Urban Leadership Coalition, and our legal team. So thanks to David Margolis' team for helping the coalition as much as possible to get us to that final, hopefully, conclusion as far as the agreement part, so we can get to work on that mini container village in the North Greenwood area. We're continuing to move forward with a lot of grants for residential property owners and commercial business owners in the North Greenwood area and the downtown. As far as the library, internally, we have already basically completed a lot of the work that we need to be complete by the time that we do start accepting proposals for the reimagined Clearwater Main Library call for development concepts. We have evaluation criteria is about to be reviewed by legal. We have advertisements in place as far as for the evaluation committee. We have agendas, we have scripts, we have everything in place that needs to be there so it can start to be reviewed internally. So when that time comes, we're ready to go. That's it for now.
Any questions from trustees? Well, that last one, I mean, we're getting some interest. I realize, we can't talk about specific ones, but I mean, has there been some interest in using
Yes.
the library?
The answer is yes. We've been getting a lot of calls from entities from all over Florida and other places around the country. We can see if we can give you exact numbers, and we just kind of send it over to the city manager so she can send that information out. And hopefully by the time, proposals are due, we actually get a lot of proposals, but for right now, we're getting a lot of interest.
Great. Great to hear. Okay, well, thank you. That moves us to item 6, was adjourning. If there's no further business come before the Community Redevelopment Agency, we'll adjourn the meeting of May 12, 2025. This time we'll call to order the work session of the Clearwater City Council for May 12, 2025.
It's all right, it's all right.
Before we begin, I just want to, as he takes his seat, we have a new assistant city manager here now. Very happy to have Al Battle joining us for his first council work session. So, welcome to Clearwater, Al.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
And we'll go to item 2.1 on the agenda. I got to tell you, Mayor Freeney, you really bring out the crowd to watch this presentation. folks that came out today just to see you, so I'd like to welcome to the podium our good friends from Dunedin, Mayor Mo Freeney.
Thank you. And I guess, is this exactly where it's supposed to stay?
Move it around.
You mean,
Pull it in.
if you mean
Yeah.
the Mayor's Cup trophy, yes.
Yeah. No, we got to
pretty
get
much
this back.
permanently
We got to
stays
get
here
this
in
back.
Clearwater, yeah.
No, I did learn a little bit about your schedule of your meeting today. I come up to you at first, right, and I'm thinking, why isn't he shaking my hand? He's ready to hit the gavel. It's like, you're on film and we're starting a meeting, so. Anyway, so obviously, unfortunately, the Blue Jays did lose again this year in the Mayor's Challenge to the Phillies, and I know you guys you can stop smiling so much up there. But the sad part, of course, is that we have not won since 2015, which is kind of humiliating. There were 2 ties, and I did tell our Toronto Blue Jays representative that we need to take whatever measures to win next year. So I did want to take the opportunity, this city manager, Jennifer Brimley, who came with me for this humbling experience. But anyway, but seriously, I think obviously we all know this isn't good fun. And although it's getting past that if we don't win once in a while. But want to congratulate you and the Phillies. I know that you guys are currently negotiating with the Phillies, and obviously we stand with you. Because we believe baseball does belong in Pinellas County in our regional area, and it's really important that we all stay focused on that. Just a little bit of 6 degrees of separation, I will say, is that I know that my dad is smiling down on me today because he went to St. Bonaventure with Paul Owen, and anybody who's a good Phillies fan knows Paul Owens, who was called the Pope and big in the day with victories in Philadelphia. So. Anyway, just want to congratulate you all and let you know, too, we're here to support you in any way to keep baseball with the Phillies in Clearwater. So.
Well, Mayor, I don't normally leave the dais during a meeting, but for this, I have to come out there and get a picture.
That's good.
The jersey looks good on you, too.
I do like the jacket. Yeah, you guys.
Nice. You're going to wear that all day, right?
Some things are better not to say, you know. Let's get this Now maybe you should hold this.
Good fun.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
for coming today.
Thank you all.
Is this where we play that song, We Are the Champions?
I could put it right up there for that. Okay, well, thank you, Mayor, for coming today. Great relationship we have with the city of Dunedin, and particularly during spring training, 2 spring training cities. That moved to item 3.1 on the agenda.
Approve co-sponsorship and waiver of requested city fees for 8 high-impact co-sponsored special events.
Good afternoon, Mayor, council members. Art Cater, Director of Parks and Recreation. The item before you today is the approval of the annual co-sponsor special event budget for fiscal year 25-26. Last year, you recall the city council policy 2.21 was actually amended and changed to waive in-kind fees for events greater than $20,000, and we established a new special event assistance program. It's known also as the Community Event Co-Sponsor Program for any events that were less than $20,000. The cash funding for the high-impact events were eliminated, but could go to DDB for additional cash funding. We bring before you an item whereby the budget level for the high-impact events for 25-26 is decreased by $237,710. This is due primarily to the removal of the Veterans Day, the Memorial Day, the Clearwater Marathon Running Festival, and Hispanic Heritage Festival as well. In addition, the cash funding for Jazz Holiday. Veterans Day, Memorial Day, as well as the Hispanic Heritage Day will be using the community funding of $20,000 or less for this year. And the Clearwater Marathon Running Festival, they're not seeking any funds with the exception of permission to hold their event and to close a portion of Memorial Causeway for the event. One major change that you will see or note in this item is that the city will produce this year's Clearwater Turkey Trot rather than the West Coast Y Runners Club. The community event co-sponsor, we thought it went very well for the first year. We had 11 organizations requesting funding that we basically gave out $95,750. If you will recall, we started with $200,000, but we are recommending this year to take that down to $150,000, so there's a little room for possible some increases of new events that might come your way. A total support is $664,000 is recommended by staff for all co-sponsored events, which is a 30% decrease of $267,000 from 24-25. I'm available to answer any questions you might have.
Okay. Questions from the council? Councilmember Menino?
Thank you, Mayor. More of a comment, not a question. Well, West Coast Y Runners obviously put on our turkey trot for a long time and had a long history. I was out there obviously this year and spent some time with you, Chris, on the event, and it was definitely noticeable on all areas of execution that it needed to be a bit revamped and a new lifeblood kind of installed in it. From what I saw, our Parks and Rec staff were pretty much carrying the torch at everything at that venue anyways, and I commend you and staff on taking it kind of by the horns and steering it back in the direction that's in the best interest of saving that event that means so much to the community and so many people, because I think I was in a baby stroller being pushed around the course at one point. It's been around that long. So thank you and staff.
Thank you.
Okay. Other questions, comments, council? I just want to thank you for doing, kind of looking at all these events and really asking the event operators to take a look at, how much, whether they could get by with less from city support. The Running Festival is a good example of that. Those conversations are really good, and I'm glad to see we had those, and we're working to try to right-size some of them. And those that can't afford to run the event without city contribution, then hopefully they'll continue to be willing to do that, because it's important. And of course, I'm glad to see the Turkey Trot to continue on. It's many years of long history here. It's a community favorite, and glad to see that we're re-engineering that a bit to make it successful for years to come.
We thank Chris Cook and his team that really has done a yeoman's job to get this. We think that and believe, just like you say, we try to fund these so that they can be on their own, stand on their own, just like Turkey Trot. This year we put it in here. Hopefully next year you won't see it here, because we hope to certainly be able to be revenue neutral in regard to that.
Yeah, and thank you, Councilmember Menino and Mayor. I think that the comment you made and what we wanted to include Turkey Trot in this year was because there's going to be costs of signage and there's going to be costs of things to really set the path for the next 40, 50 years of the Turkey Trot. It's Clearwater's race, and so we want to just continue in that. And having some support with budget there will help us set it on a good path for the future.
Okay. Do we have consent on agenda item 3.1?
Yes.
Yes.
We have consent. Thank you. Agenda item 3.2.
Approve a First Amendment to an agreement between Boys and Girls Club of Suncoast and the City of Clearwater.
This item is basically the Boys and Girls Club of Suncoast have recently merged with the Boys and Girls Club of Tampa Bay. And in so doing, they've formed a new organization called the Boys and Girls Club of Greater Tampa Bay. The Boys and Girls Club, as you know, they have been operating the Wood Valley Recreation Center since 2007. Their agreement will end in 2027. They have done a tremendous job out there handling a recreation center in an area and providing that when at a time when the city could not do that. And so we're just real pleased with the agreements that we have. But this amendment just is simply here to record the name change and the new address. With that, I can answer any questions.
Any discussion on 3.2? No discussion. Do we have consent?
Yes.
We have consent on 3.2. Thank you.
Thank you.
Agenda item 4.1.
Declare a surplus and approve the sale of City of Clearwater improved South Garden Avenue right-of-way to the sole adjacent landowner, Church of Scientology.
Evening, Mayor, council members, Marcus Williamson, Public Works Director. Didn't want to rehash all of the information before, but there is a bunch in the register item. We did include the blanket utility easement in there. There's the parking revenue and the communications, Frontier Communication objection letter. So standing by if there's any questions.
Where did we decide, where we decided we're going to do the two presentations? Which, is that here?
The next one.
The next one, okay. Okay, any questions? All right, 4.2.
Approve a work order to Moffitt and Nickel of Tampa Bay, Florida, under the continuing services contract for the design and permitting of the Clearwater Harbor Marine North Basin Repair Project.
Good afternoon, City Council. My name is Kelly Petrich. I'm an engineer too with the Public Works Department. Moffitt Nichols will perform design and engineering services for repairs to the north basin of the Harbor Marina, which sustained damage from the hurricanes Helene and Milton. Some of the scope of work items include structural repairs to the floating attenuators, replacing post-tension cables along the shoreline walkways, recollecting fire protection, water lines, and electrical with new utility lines, and replacement of the 5 attenuators. The gangway to the fishing pier, which was hit by a boat, also needs to be replaced. The cost for the work order is $145,000. The original proposal was actually $275,000, but the engineering division renegotiated the contract and saved the city almost $130,000 on this one. So, any questions?
Any questions? Questions on 4.2? Okay, do we have consent?
Yep.
We have consent on 4.2.
Thank you.
Thank you. 5.1.
Approve the annexation initial future land use map designation of residential low and initial zoning atlas designation of low medium density residential for 1609 Laverne Street.
Hello, Council. Mayor, my name is Adrian Young with Plan and Development. This is a voluntary annexation petition for 0.16 acres located at 1609 Laverne Street. The parcel is currently occupied by a detached dwelling unit. The applicant is requesting annexation in order to receive solid waste recycling services from the city. Staff analysis concludes that this annexation petition is consistent with the comprehensive plan and the community development code as detailed in the memo and recommends approval. Any questions?
Yeah. Any questions on this agenda? No? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Move to item 6.1.
Authorize the First Amendment to the agreement with Whitlock Consulting Group of Beaufort, South Carolina for project management and professional services.
Mayor, Council, Dan Mayer, IT Director. On March 6th, we brought forward an agenda item to outsource some report development to Kayenta. for our new report writing platform on our utility billing system. We're asking to extend the project management contract with Whitlock to oversee their development of those so we can maintain quality control with the project.
Any questions on agenda item 6.1? Okay. Do we have consent?
Yep.
We have consent on 6.1. Thank you. Agenda item 7.1.
Authorize a purchase order and an agreement between Divecom Services LLC and the City of Clearwater to provide vessel removal, towing, storage, and/or disposal services.
Good afternoon, council members, Mayor Mike McDonald, Marine and Aviation Director. Staff is requesting the council's approval of an agreement with Divecom Services for vessel towing and removal services within Clearwater's waterways. Divecom Services was selected through a competitive process by members of the Marine and Aviation Department and the Police Department. Over the past 3 years, a similar contract has been utilized to effectively remove derelict vessels that pose hazardous and environmental risks to our intercoastal waterways. I'm available to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions on 7.1? You have one?
Yeah, just a comment. I'm in support of this because I've noticed a lot of the vessels, since we've done the anchorage limitation zone, are starting to go away. So it's a good thing. Thank you.
Anything else? Do we have consent?
Yep.
We have consent on 7.1. 8.1.
Award a construction contract to Razorback LLC for reverse osmosis plant to injection well.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Rich Gardner, Director of Public Utilities. The item before you today is for a contract with Razorback to retrofit the RO2 water treatment plant injection well and a supplemental work order for WSP USA to provide construction oversight of the project. The purpose of this retrofit is to prevent air entrainment within water flowing into the injection well. The entrained air can flow into the aquifer and cause problems downstream. Razorback was the lowest bidder at $213,888.40. WSP supplemental work order will be $57,043.80, bringing the total engineering cost for this project to $184,357.60. Asking for your approval, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions on this agenda item? Okay. Do we have consent on 8.1?
Yes.
We have consent on agenda item 8.1. Thank you. 8.2.
Authorize a purchase order to Razorback LLC for clarifier maintenance and services.
The item before you today is for a purchase order with Razorback for inspection, maintenance, and repair of the city's water reclamation facilities, clarifiers. The contractor will provide inspection, maintenance, and emergency services for the 14 clarifiers within the city's 3 wastewater plants. Razorback was the lowest bidder for this project. Contract value is a not-to-exceed amount of $515,000 per year. This is a 1-year term through May 15th, 26, with 2 1-year renewals. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions on 8.2? Do we have consent?
Yes.
We have consent on agenda item 8.2. Thank you. Agenda item 9.1.
Provide direction on Clearwater gas system rebranding to CGS Energy.
Good afternoon, Brian Langill, Executive Director for Clearwater Gas System. Today I'm here to present a rebranding proposal for Clearwater Gas System. We've been doing business as for about 30 years now, and we are proposing to go to CGS Energy. Because of the nature of our business and the customers that we're serving and several other reasons. And I have a presentation that I'm going to present to you. It's the same one that we did on the one-on-ones a couple weeks ago. So our current situation here is that Clearwater Gas System has been around for, like I said, about 30 years as a DBA. We do have a lot of different names that we're called. The gas department, typically interdepartmental here at council, will be called the gas department. But we get City of Clearwater Gas System, CGS, gas, whatnot. So we have a little bit of a brand identity issue going on there with that. And that's one of the reasons why we're coming forward with this proposal. Last year, we celebrated our 100-year anniversary. We were founded in 1924, and we did do a refresh on the logo icon itself and the font. We added the acronym CGS to it last year to celebrate our 100-year anniversary. Obviously, we have Clearwater Gas System there that we've had, just like in the previous logo from 30 years ago. You can see that the colors on the old logo are, rather dated, and it definitely needed a refresh to get it to more modern times here. And I'm also happy to say that we partnered with Public Communications on this logo, so we did not hire outside staff or a consultant to do that work. We took about 3 or 4 months internally, met with Public Communications, went kind of back and forth as to what looked good, what didn't look good. We all had our different ideas, and at the end of the day, we came up with this logo on the right-hand side here, which we're very proud of, and at a significant cost savings versus having to go out and hire a consultant to do that for $50,000 to $100,000. So a lot of great work that happened with Public Communications on that one. So why change? Well, like I mentioned already, we do serve customers outside the city limits. In fact, we serve 75% of our customer base outside the city limits now. We've been outside the city of Clearwater for decades now. That's nothing new, but when we expanded up into Pasco County 30 years ago, we have increased our customer base significantly up there. And so we are really a regional utility provider, not just in Clearwater, but 17 other municipalities that we serve currently. And there's just a lot of growth opportunity up in Pasco County. And it's not to say that we're not growing in Pinellas and in Clearwater, because we are. It's just with our service territory being about 350 square miles, we're over 10 times the size of the city of Clearwater. So it just makes sense that we're going to be serving a lot of customers outside of the city limits. So this is the current logo right now that we have approved from last year. And then this is the proposed, which would be to remove the Clearwater Gas System name and then replace it with CGS Energy. We keep the logo icon picture the same, and we change it out with energy there. With that, we are looking at updating our vision statement and mission statement. Currently, we have Clearwater Gas System will be the energy provider of choice and be recognized as such by our customers and the communities that we serve. We're proposing to go to be the energy provider of choice, streamline that, make it a little bit easier to remember with our employees and our customers and other departments within the city as well. And also the mission statement, we really just did a little bit of cleaning up on the words on this one here. We've removed the natural and propane gas reference and replaced that with energy. In fact, we do not provide propane anymore. We sold off that business last year, so it was fitting to go ahead and make changes to that. But I'll read the proposed statement, and that is to provide dependable, cost-effective, and safe energy solutions to both residents and businesses in Clearwater and its neighboring municipalities. While fostering a culture of superior public service, we energize communities and enhance the economic well-being of the city of Clearwater. So even though we're going to energy, we're still referencing City of Clearwater and the economic value that we provide the city every day. So in addition to that, going to energy, we removed the word gas from our logo, which is a reference to fossil fuels. And even though in current times right now, that's not as much of an issue, but this is a brand change for long term, for decades. And so we feel like energy is the proper direction to go moving forward here into the future. And it also is just more inclusive with other municipalities that we serve. We're the same utility across all the municipalities that we serve every day. And once again, just additional items. It's a more entrepreneurial nature of our business. We feel like it's a good change there. And then also energy encompasses all energy sources, not just natural gas, but any other energy sources that we might look to in the future of moving into. In addition to that, we also have a compressed natural gas filling station for the last 10 years that we provide that to our solid waste department, their garbage trucks. So we fuel those up. We own and operate that station. And so we are providing other services beyond what a typical gas utility would provide, just setting the meter and then letting the customer make their own decisions there. So we're full service. We do installation, gas piping, and service and repair as well, of appliance repair. So we're working well beyond the meter as well in those regards. So I've got a few examples here of other utilities that have rebranded over the years. First one is City of Jacksonville Beach. They're over 100 years old. They're primarily electric, but they went to Beach's Energy Services, and they serve just a few thousand more customers than what we do. And they serve other cities along the beach line there, up there, outside their city limits. Orlando Utilities Commission, they're called OUC in their icon, their logo. They dropped the Orlando and just went with that and a tagline, the reliable one. And they're not gas, but they are electric and water in the Orlando area. Next one is Tico Peoples Gas. This is an interesting one. This is the one where you have 3 different entities on one logo. This is kind of what we're trying to steer away from. Peoples Gas is owned by Tampa Electric, Tico Energy, and then Tico Energy was then bought by Emera, a Canadian company. So they all wanted to have their name on their logos, and so I put this one up here as a reference as to what we were trying to, avoid getting into. We wanted to kind of simplify our naming and logo, so that way it's more of an image than it is to reading all the words. And Peoples Gas serves over almost 500,000 customers all throughout the state of Florida. And then finally, Pensacola, they went to the energy branding as well. And so they serve about 10,000 more customers than what we do. But they serve primarily, most of their customers are within the city limits of Pensacola, though, unlike us, where we're serving well outside of that. So in summary, so this is our proposal here, along with the vision and mission changes to it. We feel like with the City of Clearwater strategic objective, we satisfy many of them, but primarily 1.5, which is to embrace a culture of innovation and drive continuous improvement and successfully serve our customers. So with that, have any questions or comments for me?
Vice Mayor Tucci.
Let me begin by thanking all the staff that were involved in this and that kept it internally and resulted with significant cost savings and did a great job. So kudos to them. I also feel that this is the appropriate and much needed marketing strategy, considering that even though Clearwater owns it, we do serve 17 other municipalities. So this is well aligned with future growth and expansion. So great job.
Thank you.
Councilmember Albritton.
It's just a comment. Great job. Everybody's going to acronyms now, and so it really makes it stand out. And I like your colors too, because gas is a green energy, unlike most people will say, but you got it on there, so that's a good thing.
Councilmember Cotton.
I would be remiss if I didn't say it. I obviously trust your judgment. We had that conversation in our meeting, and you were the director of the energy facility of the gas company, and if this is what you think is best for us, then I'm going to trust your judgment on that. But I really wish that Clearwater was really in the name. I take pride and ownership in the fact that we're the ones that produce and give other customers that gas, and maybe that comes from the firefighter in me that we're proud of where we work and we want that to be known. But again, I trust your judgment, and I think that it'll be good for us going forward, or at least I hope it is.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. All right, so I take it unanimous direction to move forward? Okay.
Yes, this is a work session only item, so I would be working with the
I think
city
you have
managers.
our approval to move forward.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Very good. Thank you. Okay, we move to item 10.1 of the agenda. City Attorney.
Mayor, this is the second reading. I'm sure nobody's interested in this, so I assume it'll be quick. Yeah.
Okay, so we have two presentations, I guess, not maybe. We have two groups presenting, 10 minutes apiece. I think that's what we said.
Yes.
10.
We'll time it.
So two groups are here to present, 10 minutes maximum. No questions from the audience, obviously. We'll have a meeting here on Thursday night for the community to give their input. But if the council has questions for either one of the two presentations, after they're done with their allotted time, then we'll open up the questions from us if we have questions.
Who's up first?
I don't know who do we have?
I think that's council, whoever council wants to have go first.
Okay.
Agreed.
Okay. I think, well, Scientology, Church of Scientology, you have presented the request to vacate, so I think we'll let you go first.
Good afternoon. So this agenda item and the vacation of Garden Avenue has already come before the council a couple of times, but there has been a request for the video on Cleveland Street to be shown, so I am here to do that.
They're coming.
This
Just for the
video
record.
is also on the clevelandstreetalliance.com website, if anyone wants to see it on the website.
For the record, if you can introduce yourself.
Oh, I'm sorry. My name is Sarah Heller, and I work with the Church of Scientology.
Thank you.
So that video and all of the other information on the 9 buildings that are already under renovation or restoration on Cleveland Street is available on the website, Cleveland Street Alliance. The website also includes, you can see here, blog updates regularly. It's updated all the time so that anyone can go to the website, see what is happening in each of those properties and projects, or they can go down Cleveland Street and see it there for themselves.
Okay. Anything else? Yeah, okay. Thank you. Questions from the council? Councilmember Auburn?
Okay. Yes, Sarah, that's a great video. You know, you've been working on that a couple of years. In fact, most of it is a couple of years old, except the last maybe minute and a half, 2 minutes. And we've been communicating with this pretty regularly since the meeting we all had one-on-ones with Miscavige. Where's the rest of the plan? And I've been asking that from the beginning. Where's the rest of the plan that was shown to us? That's what I wanted you to bring out to the public. And I was hoping today you would have the rest of it, at least, to show or to tell or something with what we saw. Now, I know that it took an hour for us to see the whole presentation, which was, in my opinion, I can't speak for anybody else, but it was an amazing plan. I mean, a sweeping plan on a rebuild of entire downtown from Osceola past Missouri. And the one thing that I asked the chairman was, bring it to the public. What you're showing me, bring to the public, because I can't explain that. I mean, you need to bring it to the public. And so now it's been, I gave a 30-day, last meeting I said, let's put it off 30 days to talk about the other plan that came in. And also, really, to give you a chance to get another 30 days to put more together to show us what you're really doing there. And I can tell you, I'm really disappointed. I have more to say, but I'm going to let everybody else chime in here.
Councilman Teixeira?
In some ways, I understand all the focus on these videos, right? Everybody's curious what's being discussed. You know, they want to see what we saw. But in other ways, I just don't understand the significance that's being put on the videos simply because I think of them as a visual aid, supplemental tool. It also can be, in a way, misrepresentation to be attached to this agenda item because this is just a vacation request. None of this is part of this agreement. And I'll give you an example. When we were looking at all the presentations for the development of the Bluff, the original presentation by Gotham was 2 towers, 600 apartments, and a very different design. But when pen came to paper, it was 1 tower, 400 apartments, and much simpler design. So to me, a video is just a visual aid unless it's, or a supplemental tool, but it is insignificant to the end result unless it's accompanied with a written agreement. So I just want to make sure that as I appreciate the video because I do want people to see what's being discussed. I am also disappointed that I didn't see the whole thing. But we are simply talking about selling the street, and this is just a visual aid. It has nothing to do with the agreement that we're discussing right now.
Councilmember Cotton?
So I appreciate you coming out and showing our video. This was probably shown because it was one of the nonverbal binding agreements that I requested that goes with the vacation request of Garden Avenue. I wanted the public to see which portion of their video, you know, it's kind of that verbal portion of this is what we're going to do also in regards to that. So that's probably why she's showing that to answer your question. You know, I do have a few other questions as to that. I think I would know the reason as to why you didn't show the entire 15 minutes of your video. Is there anything that you'd like to answer back to that before I ask another question?
This video shows the projects that are currently actively ongoing. Every single one of these buildings has active permits. And so anyone who wants to see projects and what is happening, these are things that you can see are happening right now.
And are any of these buildings up for offer right now for lease or sale?
They're all up for lease 100%.
Where could people or the public or developers go to find those types of things?
Highbridge Real Estate is the leasing broker, and they are also the Telephone Building, and People's Bank and Woolworth are also on LoopNet. Highbridge is promoting those on LoopNet.
Okay. Another question is, a lot of a portion of the public has reached out to something that is in your belief system where it says if it isn't written, it isn't true, and that could be discussed as in this isn't written or binding. Can you speak to any of that in accordance with this presentation you've given today?
Well, everything that I'm talking about is written. It's on our website. We have professionals who are involved in this project, a number of national and international firms who have been hired to revitalize Cleveland Street and the downtown as part of the Cleveland Street Alliance. They include Gensler, who is the top architectural and design firm in the world, Highbridge, which I just mentioned, who is doing retail recruitment, Street Sense, which is another international firm. They do very meticulous surveys and planning on what should go where in a retail district to make sure that it thrives. And it includes surveys of all types of people, meaning they surveyed tourists, they surveyed local residents, they surveyed everybody to make sure that what is actually needed in Clearwater is in Clearwater. There's a national development firm, Fairmount Properties, that is also involved. Halfence and Pichet is a Tampa architect firm who did all of those designs. And Michael Halfence is an award-winning architect, and he is a professor at the University of South Florida on Florida architecture. So these are all the people who are involved in this project and are the ones that are, getting the tenants into these properties.
I have one final question for you, and that goes into, being a second-generation native, knowing downtown as we have it, as we've seen it, as a lot of locals have seen it for decades, and that, quote-unquote, I'm sure you've heard of a ghost town or something like that. So why is the activation happening now, and why hasn't it happened previously, or what's changing that?
Well, I mean, one thing that's changing now is we have all of these professionals assembled to be able to do this project. In the past, you had a number of different property owners who may or may not have had the resources that these properties needed. Councilmember Albritton has brought up the condition of these buildings a couple of times, and there's over $30 million that has gone into just design, planning, and renovation just on these 9 properties that we're talking about. And with the property owners that are part of Cleveland Street Alliance all working together as one group, we'll be able to get this done. We'll be able to make sure that the right retail is in there, not people competing against each other, and that it's what the citizens of Clearwater want in their downtown.
Well, as I said earlier, I appreciate you coming and showing this video, answering questions. I know I'm probably not the last question that you'll have, but for me, this is that verbal agreement portion that it's untangible. It's a video right now. I understand that, but this just shows that we have a worker for Scientology that is here before us showing a video that was at my request in good faith that is a verbal, non-binding portion of my agreement that goes along with the vacation of garden. I think this shows a good step forward in being transparent and these tough conversations that nobody really wants to have, right? Of one of the biggest organizations down here that you guys do. You did tell me that you own 200 properties. And I see this as an important step forward in trying to allow city staff to work with your staff to try and revitalize and make our downtown. And when it comes to the portion of the 15-minute video, I think I'd go back to what I've told other people, how I've responded on phone calls with people that have reservations about this, is that we get stuck on Garden Cleveland. The original meeting that all of us had was...
We can get to all that. I really want to direct questions now. Let the others ask their questions, and then we'll discuss
I'm going to wrap
general
up and
after we're done
then
the
just
meeting.
maybe take another minute.
Yeah.
So, as what I was going to say is, I've lost my thought, if I'm being honest with you. And it was right on the end, and then I probably would have had no further questions. So we'll finish with questions, and then I will probably remember what I wanted to say, but thank you very much for at least honoring my portion of the verbal commitments to what I've asked you guys to do.
Councilmember Marino?
Thank you, Mayor. Before I get into questions, I think it's important to thank you for being here. There's an appetite for healing in our community, and healing takes two parties willing, two parties to be held accountable. And what we've said for years is we need both parties to be in the sunshine, communicating transparently. And boy, wouldn't it be nice one day if the Church of Scientology showed up to City Hall and had open dialogue with the council, our citizens, and the leadership team? Exactly. And here you are. So before I, try to beat up plans or questions, I want to commend you on stepping out of your comfort zone, because this isn't comfortable for any of us. Conflict, as this has shown so often, is a conduit to change. And the community's been begging for it for years, for a change in relationships, a change in behaviors, and a change in how we do business in front of the public and bringing the public along. So I thank you for being here today. You are kind of in between a rock and a hard place when it's requested to show a video. So many want to see that grand video, but where I come from in thinking of this is if you showed that whole video and you made any changes to that plan, fingers would be pointed at you and said, liar, you did it again, you misguided us, you misled us, that's not what you showed us, that's not. So for you to show us the video that the council member requested, all, was that 7 minutes long? All 7 minutes of it, and every single one of those properties that you showed are currently in writing in a sense of building or demolition permits, that's correct?
Yes, that's right.
Which is important. The community's been asking a lot of things over the years. Come in the sunshine, and you're doing it. The community asked, please tear down tequilas, it's ugly on the corner. Somebody made that request, and within a week it was torn down. The community asked, please, let's move forward with development of vacant, empty properties. And we just saw a video of 4 historic buildings and the whole 600 block, all with permits to be developed that leads to activation. We all want activation, right? Is activation what you would like to see as well?
100%.
We all want activation, but we understand to get to activation, you have to develop. And to get to develop, you have to pull permits. And that's part of the process that's going on here. I had several questions written down. I thank you, council member, for asking them, because you hit them. Many citizens have also said, please stop with first floor institutional buildings. Did any of these plans we saw today, 400, 500, or 600, have institutional uses on the first floor?
No.
My question was regarding the Cleveland Street Alliance, and who is it? Is it just the Church of Scientology? Is it non-Scientologists? I think you kind of discussed that. I appreciate that. I don't have too many. I do wish that you had a picture, we could put something up of the actual plans of South Garden. Do you have those with you on what we are discussing today?
Yes, we have a copy of the rendering, which is also on the Scientology.org website.
Would you mind sharing those?
Yes, certainly.
You probably should hold it up.
Thank you. One of my last questions, sir, can you please tell us, do you need this road, and why do you need this road to develop what's in front of us.
Absolutely. The hall could not be built without this road. The hall and the park are one project. It is going to be an architectural masterpiece. And with 4,000 people going in and out of the hall and the park, you know, in the 21st century, you just are not going to have a public road right in between those two.
Understood. Thank you. My last question, and I've heard you address it, I believe, in, again, out of your comfort zone on a local radio show. I appreciate you stepping out of that comfort zone and being open again with the citizens. Is this venue, does it compete at all with our Ruth Eckerd Hall venues downtown?
No, definitely not. We partner with Ruth Eckerd Hall, and if Ruth Eckerd Hall wants to use this hall, we are definitely open to that. We are not going to be booking concerts or anything else that would be in competition with Ruth Eckerd. The hall will be available for nonprofits and charities to use in addition to the church, but we're not going to be competing with them.
Okay. Well, that's the end of my line of questioning. I appreciate you stepping out of a comfort zone. The citizens appreciate the way, and they should appreciate the way, not only this council and the leadership team has truly held both sides accountable, and we do that in the light, and we do that in City Hall and no longer behind a secrecy and a veil of secrecy. And I appreciate you being willing to step in that direction and bringing the public along with it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I have.
Can I have a couple more questions?
You wanna go ahead?
Yeah, sorry, I forgot a couple more questions. These renderings and videos confirm what my opinion, and I've told you this, Sarah. The Church of Scientology builds beautiful buildings, stunning, top of the line. My concern is what goes in it. If you go down Cleveland Street, I think it's like 9 to 11 beautiful pastel-colored Disney-like buildings, but they're all nonprofits and empty 90% of the time. So that's my concern. It's not what you're building, because I can see what you're building. What you have built and what you will build will always be beautiful. It's what goes inside is what concerns me. I have been reached out about 3 times by 3 separate entities talking about leasing terms. And the range is anywhere between $35 a square foot to $79, which is like Manhattan prices. So that's another concern that I have. Do you know if the leasing terms is going to be, I don't know, how can I say this, rational? $79 a square foot for Cleveland Street?
I don't know where that $79 a square foot for Cleveland Street has come from. It will be market rate. Scott Dobbins, who's from Highbridge, is here. If you have specific questions on the leasing, I can have him come up. But it will be market rate, and it will be retail, restaurants, offices, and open to everybody in the community.
And my last question is, you say that you need this road for this project. Are you saying that if you don't get this road, the project will be canceled?
We do absolutely need this road for the project.
So if you don't get this road, it will be canceled or just modified?
It cannot be modified. We are going to need the road.
Because I can name a bunch of other venues that have more capacity that don't have a private road.
I appreciate the applause, folks. I'm really not trying, but it does slow us down a bit. So just be mindful of that as we go along. So, because I have some questions too. The street, I see cars approaching from, I guess, from the north to the south. So you're going to have cars on that street anyway. What's the purpose of closing it off on US 60?
That is just a drop-off. You know, it rains here in Clearwater a lot, so that is the only use, and it will be very easy to block off, you know, when necessary, so that there are no cars.
And when you say you can't build the auditorium without closing the street, is that because you've committed to a certain size of the building, or what's the meaning there?
The whole project, including the park, it's one project. I mean, you can look at the rendering and you can see that it is a large, single project, and you would not have a road go through the middle of it. And with the number of people that will be coming in and out of the hall, it wouldn't be safe.
What study did you do on the traffic impact of closing that street?
There's 2 traffic studies which are attached to the road vacation application. Both of those show that the road is rarely used, and in fact, the few people who do use the road, there's a significant number of crashes turning onto Court Street, considering the number of people who do use the road. So it's actually a safety, it improves the safety of the community by closing the road as well.
Okay. Those were studies we did, or you submitted those? Or?
Yes, they were submitted as part of the vacation application.
Okay. And how much property does Scientology and its members own in downtown Clearwater now?
I couldn't give you a specific number. There's definitely a significant portion, especially along Cleveland Street, which is part of the Cleveland Street Alliance.
So would it be possible to put your auditorium on one of these other parcels that you own in downtown Clearwater and not close this street?
No. It's part of our campus, and that is the location that the hall will be going.
And the purpose of the hall is primarily for the organization's exclusive use, is that right?
It is for our large international events, seminars, banquets, and we do them routinely throughout the year. And then, as I said, it will also be open to charitable and community groups. Just like the Fort Harrison is today, it will also be open, and we do those events 4 times a month for charities and community groups that are not associated with the church.
But it's primarily for institutional use.
It is for our use, yes. The hall itself, the park, is going to be open to anybody, and we do hope, just like the other 2 parks that we have in Clearwater, that they get used by the community, that people come, they have a place to relax during their lunch break. We get people who use the parks for photographs, backdrops for weddings, for sweet 16 birthdays, groups of mothers come. Anybody is welcome in the park, and that will be the same here. So the park will be open to everyone.
So I believe you said you use, right now, we just spent $85 million on a park and the Baycare Sound. We have the Capitol Theater, and I believe you used Ruth Eckerd Hall just this past weekend for an event?
Yes.
Okay. So some of those events you were having at Ruth Eckerd Hall, at least, would no longer be held there. They'd be housed here?
Yes.
Okay. So you'd be taking away events from one of our cities?
Well, as I said, we work a lot with Ruth Eckerd Hall, and if Ruth Eckerd Hall wants to use the L. Ron Hubbard Hall, they will be more than welcome to do so.
Okay. I don't think I have any more questions.
I do.
Councilmember Cotton?
Is Scott Dobbins here?
Yes.
Would he come up? I do have a question for him. Hi, Scott. Nice to meet you. So my question is going to be pertaining to Councilmember Techeda's market rates, and this is coming from somebody that's actually in our audience today too, that was telling us about a deal that they had heard of from you, that the rate was $79 for a specific property on Cleveland Street. So could you please, have you had any recent dealings, Mr. Dobbins, with anybody on any of the properties where $80 to $79 a square foot rates were talked about?
Absolutely not.
Okay. What is the market, what are the rates you are looking for per square foot for some of these? And I understand that there's probably some negotiation that can go in with that, and even the second floor, third floors, those things are all negotiable from what can go in there, I would assume anyways, but can you speak to any of that and what those rates would be?
I sure can. Yeah, market rates are just what they are. They're what the market will bear. And generally, market rates are a derivative of the volumes that retailers can pay. So I think generally we're looking at market rates anywhere from $35 a square foot to $45 a square foot triple net. And we are negotiating accordingly based on the current environment in downtown.
Okay, very good. I'm just trying to go over my notes real quick from that meeting that I had to see if there was any other questions. Nope, that was it. Thank you very much. I do appreciate you for noting those, and
Please.
Thank you, Mayor. Scott, thank you for being here. Pleasure to meet you. Thank you for answering that question. I definitely had that one written down here to ask you what market rate was in Clearwater, and obviously it's fluid and it moves. Is there any current or new activation as far as a recent lease or anything that's been signed and activated down in our Cleveland Street district anytime recently that we have not heard about?
I don't know what you've heard about, but I can tell you there's a bevy of activity going on. Both, we're probably negotiating 6 or 8 LOIs in various forms right now. Those are non-binding letters of intent for both the ground floor and the creative office spaces above the historics.
Okay.
So I would say we have talked to hundreds of retailers and their representatives over the last several months, and we are in active, engaged negotiations with virtually every retail category that we are planning for in the downtown.
Thank you. And Scott, are you local?
I am.
You are local. Would you commit to the citizens of Clearwater to show up as frequently as needed to these meetings and give us updates when leases are signed, when new activation is in place, so we can continue to bring the public along as well as educate this council and staff on when there is movement downtown?
Yes, the answer is absolutely yes. We are committed to this project, and we're committed that this is an inclusive project to the community. We are very excited at the prospects of what we're going to bring to this downtown, and it's for everybody.
Thank you.
Councilmember Albritton.
Okay, one other question while we're on this. One of the things that is different that the church is doing that we really haven't done in the city is targeting businesses, I guess with that a company that goes out and finds the right businesses for the right. Could you expound on that a little bit and tell why that works better than just opening it up and having anybody rent?
Yeah, curating is the key to our strategic plan for Cleveland Street. We are looking at the high-hanging fruit, not the low-hanging fruit. We have spent years, I've been working on this project with the church and this group of experts for over 8 years. We are curating and merchandising a plan that takes into account everything from preserving the historic relevance of the buildings that we're currently renovating to bringing in some additional demand generators, cinemas, entertainment complex, gourmet grocers. All of those bring activation to the street. So we are actively curating a merchandising plan and working towards that versus just soliciting any and all. That being said, we are certainly very much open to all discussions from any retail categories, and we're looking to find places where they will fit if viable.
Well, to me, that hit home the most because it was something specific that you were doing to make sure a business succeeds and a business that the general public recognizes.
Sure.
Because everybody that's been talking to me basically says that we're not going to ever go down there because they're going to be church. I go, no, one thing you did not talk about is the Family Entertainment Center. That I've heard this before is a big project, and I understand that you may have an operator for it already, and that is closer than, and you haven't even mentioned it. And those are the kind of things that disappointed me. It was like, okay, told us about this stuff, but you're not telling the public. So can you expound on any of that? I know you kind of probably can't mention names that you're talking to already, but
What I can say is we're talking to the best of class operators in every category, including cinema and entertainment. We're not just talking to one, we're talking to literally the best in class nationally, internationally in these categories. They're not done yet, but there's a real amount of intrigue based on the demographic profiles of this city. Put another way, this city works for a major redevelopment of the downtown. And it starts with this live, work, play, dine district, which is Cleveland Street. I would also say the challenge associated with the conversations that I'm having is the question of risk. We're living in a very interesting time, and every retailer, every restaurateur has to identify risks. And the risks that I'm commonly asked is, will the city and the church work together? They have to be aligned for us to bring in the caliber of operators that we are currently seeking.
Okay.
I have a question for Scott. First of all, I do want to make sure that everybody understands that I was not saying that the conversation was with you. It was actually was not. The quote that we got was not from you, so I want to be clear on that.
Thank you.
You talked about that you've been working on this for 8 years. It's disappointing that you have nothing tangible after 8 years.
I use the analogy, this is an elephant that you can't eat one spoonful at a time. It requires a lot of planning on the background in order to really create a macro plan that's going to attract the caliber of retailer that we seek for this project.
I just don't see anything tangible. It's a lot of we're going to, we're in the middle of, and I'm growing impatient. I just want something that's tangible and concrete.
I can
Especially
appreciate.
if it's being tied to the sale of this street, which
Yep.
it's two separate things, because there's nothing in this agreement, nothing that talks about activation. Sorry.
I appreciate the frustration. I'm here to talk about leasing updates on the street. I can assure you, as my partners within the Cleveland Street Alliance, there has been millions deployed in the planning and in the solicitation of the right group. I can put my personal professional reputation on the line. This isn't smoke and mirrors. We are going, and I think we're going to exceed expectation on this council and within the community.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now we'll call forward Brooks Gibbs and the
I have
Safe
discussion.
Adjournment.
I wanted to talk about
After
this.
both sides.
Okay, all right, good.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say earlier. We'll talk about both of them after we've heard them.
Photos were sent. Photos were sent.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Mayor Brooks Gibbs. By the way, thank you, Mayor Bruce Rector, for giving us a chance to share for 10 minutes. Council members Ryan Cotton, Lena Teixeira, David Alberton, and Mike Menino, thank you guys for your service. I really appreciate it. We're here today to publicly object to the vacation of South Garden Avenue to the adjoining property owner, an action the city is not obligated to approve. We have submitted a superior proposal to the CRA and city in a timely response to the call for surplus land proposals. Our plan offers a stronger financial package and a more meaningful purpose to bring healing to our city through a memorial that honors the spirit of Old Clearwater, a history that currently lives only in fading memories. This is a gift we are offering the city of Clearwater, but only if you choose to accept it and present it to the people. You now have a rare opportunity, I believe, to be remembered as champions of the public good. I see you as a stopgap, the guardians standing between our community and the monopolization of downtown Clearwater by the Church of Scientology. If you continue to chase the elusive promise of activation from David Miscavige, Scientology's leader, you won't just be acting against the will of the majority, you'll be surrendering even more control over to the future of our downtown. The more power you give this organization, the less influence the citizens of Clearwater will have in shaping the future that reflects our shared values. We humbly ask that you choose our proposal. Allow us to fund, to install, and to maintain the Garden, a memorial park on South Garden Avenue honoring the people who built Clearwater. I was thinking, the Church of Scientology, they can build these buildings, but what we're bringing is the soul of the streets, the soul of the city, the soul of the history, the stories. And that's what's needed for people to fall in love with the place, not materialism. We urge you not to be swayed by the coercive tactics of the Church of Scientology. Every member of this council has expressed a desire to see downtown revitalized. But I think those good intentions could be strategically exploited. Some of you have received verbal assurances that activation is coming, but only if you grant them Garden Avenue. Others have voiced concern that denying this sale might mean losing any chance at progress. This kind of pressure is not the mark of a healthy partnership. It's a red flag. Good faith community partners don't threaten or manipulate, and we won't either. We're not here to make promises or issue threats. We're here with a clear mission to honor and preserve the forgotten history of downtown Clearwater and to offer our community a meaningful space for reflection, unity, and healing. We believe the future of Clearwater, we just believe in it, and we believe it's going to be bright. But it does not need to depend on the cooperation of the Church of Scientology. We, the people, are ready to rebuild, but to do that, we must first remember what was lost. Rebuilding without remembrance is not just careless, I think it's irresponsible. Our city needs healing, and memorializing provides that. Our proposal offers both a literal and symbolic path forward for downtown revitalization. It is supported by the hundreds of Clearwater citizens who have signed our petition, and the hundreds more around the world. 48 countries have signed these petitions, but hundreds and hundreds, over 500, directly here as Clearwater citizens. We ask you to stand with them, and I ask that you take time from now till Thursday when a vote happens to read their comments. And I know you care about their voice. I know you care about what they have to say. They're very moving. Our group, Reconnect Clearwater, is proud to partner with the Clearwater African American Foundation because we have come to understand this truth, that Clearwater history is African American history. And with that, I'd like to introduce Ms. Barbara Sori Love, President of the Clearwater African American Foundation.
Thank you, Mayor and council members, for the opportunity to speak today. The land that we are on right now, and most of downtown Clearwater, was originally owned by just one man, James Stevens. Mr. Stevens is often referred to as the father of Clearwater. He originally received 160 acres of land from the U.S. government in 1842 for cultivation after the Seminole Wars. The Seminoles were an interracial alliance made up of native tribes, free black people, and enslaved Africans who had escaped slavery and found refuge in Florida. Mr. Stevens later sold his land to John S. Taylor, now known as the father of Pinellas County. And what was the price of all this land? Just one enslaved African woman. Mr. Taylor traded his black cook for most of what is now downtown Clearwater. Some say South Garden Avenue has no connection to black history, but they're not looking far enough back. Black history here predates the city itself. This history is thoroughly documented in numerous Tampa Bay Times articles and preserved in the archives of the Clearwater Historical Society. That unnamed African woman paid for this land with her life. When Mr. Taylor turned this land into a large citrus grove, it was African American slaves who worked the land and picked the fruit. After emancipation, this was a land of opportunity for many African American families who settled here and built their sustaining communities, Clearwater Heights, North Greenwood, and the Garden on Garden Avenue. Together with white business owners, African Americans were the labor force that built downtown Clearwater. For example, it was African Americans who constructed the Fort Harrison Hotel, cleaned the rooms, laundered the sheets, and transported guests to and from the train station and the beach. During segregation, we were self-sustaining and established our own grocery stores, Barbershops and restaurants fall all on Garden Avenue. This history will be forgotten unless we preserve it. Garden Avenue is the ideal place for this preservation. We're not claiming that South Garden Avenue was the center of African American life. We're asking that African American life be honored in the center of our city on South Garden Avenue.
Our proposal keeps half of South Garden Avenue open to the traffic. Only a portion is dedicated to the memorial. The design is elegant and informative, telling a story of African American contributions to Clearwater's foundation. This is just a beginning. You know, we envision a mile-long history walk, like memory lane, that starts right there on Garden Avenue and continues throughout the city with QR code technology, augmented reality, oral history captured in multimedia format from people that are still alive today that can remember what it was like watching the parade go down Cleveland Street and then recreating that with visual technology. Our project will serve as an open-air museum that not only tells the story of the African American community on Garden Avenue, but will explore other aspects of our rich history throughout all of downtown. You know, when you memorialize something, you tell an inspiring story worth remembering. That is at the heart of our project. We wish to inspire Clearwater citizens to love their downtown and pass on this legacy from generation to generation. If I may use this overhead protect, it's like my third grade class. I remember I had a teacher who only had 4 fingers. It was weird. But as you can see, we left, well, we're offering $1.5 million for this property, which is more than our competitors' offering. And our terms are straightforward. We pay half up front in good faith before construction, and we pay the balance at the end of construction. And that, of course, would be less than 36 months, which is quicker than our competitors finishing their construction. We've kept the lane open, as you can see, to the public and are willing to work with the city to preserve that road for easy access into downtown. We believe this is going to be booming. I hope they do activate all their buildings. I certainly do. I hope they do allow retail space to be filled. And I hope this is going to be great. But we need to memorialize that which was lost and enjoy as we build forward and move forward. And if that's true, that we're going to have more people down here, let's keep this road open. Some have feared that we might purchase this land and then turn around and sell it. I've actually heard that speculation. This is not our intent, which is why we have provided in the proposal the city with the first right of refusal to purchase the land back from us. Finally, if the city prefers to retain ownership of the land and lease it to us through a public-private partnership, we fully support that approach. We agree that keeping the land under the city control is in the best interest of the community. Under that arrangement, we would still remain committed to building and maintaining a park at no cost to the city. Finally, we believe that the garden at South Garden Avenue is the best use of this land that you have declared as surplus and put up for sale. In just a few years from now, we believe you will look back and say, this is how we were able to bring healing to our city and build a new downtown that united our citizens.
Good afternoon, Mayor, council members.
How are you on time?
The word healing continues to keep coming up that side and this side. And I believe the city started the process of healing. I pastor Mount Olive Me Church, and we were a recipient of the CRA grant to help with our outreach ministries. So I believe the city is putting forth the effort to create healing. And I believe by approving this, that healing would continue.
Thank you. Okay, questions from the council?
Does nobody else have any, just me?
I have questions as well.
Who wants to go first? Councilmember Cotton?
Yeah, I can start off for sure. Mr. Gibbs, if you don't mind. Sir, what was your name?
James Williams, pastor of Mount Olive Church.
Mr. Williams, yes. May I please ask you a question? Here's my question to you is, when Mr. Gibbs approached you about his proposal, can you just explain to me how it was proposed to you?
remember the African-American community, the persons who were part of building downtown Clearwater have been forgotten. And I believe the proposal is a way, again, to continue that process of healing between the city and the African-American community. I believe it's well recorded, the tension between the African-American community and the city. But again, I believe the city is trying to repair that. And I just believe this proposal will go a long way into repairing that relationship.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to put you under the gun, Mr. Williams. I just want to know exactly how it was proposed to you from your standpoint and recollection.
If I've manipulated you in any way to be a part of this project.
I'm asking Mr. Williams, not you. Is what I'm asking, Mr. Williams. I'm asking Mr. Williams, not Mr.
I
Gibbs.
appreciate.
And let me tell you why I'm asking you this, and I will ask you very blatantly, because I did speak to Mr. Gibbs, Pastor Childs, of which, with anybody can go back and view our time here, we used to have this as the Mac Dixon Save the Garden proposal, which, let's go down history lane. Mr. Williams, thank you very much, and I was not trying to put you under the gun. Here's where this starts, is that your wife emailed me back on March 14th with no proposal of a garden, and coming at this from a strictly don't sell to Scientology proposal. And that's fine. That is well within anyone's rights.
We have multiple motivations to be involved.
I'll speak, and then
Okay.
I'll let you time to respond back.
Sure.
Because when I met with you and your group, you countless times interrupted me, which is very rude, and I don't
My
know,
apologies.
and you're a very kind person, so I don't know where that comes from. So I'll finish my thought, and then you can give me a retort. So going back to this, we started March 13th when your wife originally reached out to me, and we had a good back and forth. I think it was healthy dialogue. Moving forward to that, we had a CRA meeting in which Ms. Sori Love was at, not there related to anything with Scientology, but she did hear about that. I believe it was the April 3rd CRA meeting of when that happened. And then shortly after that, at our next meeting, we had the proposal of the Mac Dixon Memorial Garden. And that was, I believe, Ms. Sori Love probably got with you all, and you tried to unite and bring together a coalition to get a remembrance. I received notification from the city manager in my next follow-up that the African-American community was upset with the city because the African-American community was not reached out to, that they thought that it was our proposal, and they were upset, and rightly so, that the city hadn't reached out to see if it was in the right place, to see if it fit the narrative or the guidelines of what they want. You have since gone back and rectified the name and spoke to Pastor Childs and the whole 9 yards. The reason I asked you, Mr. Williams, again, was not to put you under any pressure, but when I spoke to Pastor Childs just last week, he was not aware that there was going to be Reverend Raymond that would be a part of this memorial park. Mr. Gibbs, is Reverend Raymond African-American?
I think you're asking about
I asked you
the
a specific
founder
question,
of
sir.
Calvary Baptist, and I've already, I thought, sufficiently answered that objection, and certainly to the satisfaction of Pastor Childs. This is non-issue. But there are two projects. We have the Garden Avenue dedicated to African Americans, and then we have a mile-long walkway that connects to it that goes where Calvary was, where you went to high school downtown. So yes, the story of other people that are not African American are told throughout downtown Clearwater because it's our city.
Which I'm glad you brought that up, because again, when I had to go, because I like to speak on facts, not emotion, and when I went to the Clearwater Historical Society to make sure that I was aware of where the African American community was, their neighborhoods were on North Garden Avenue, not in the specific proposal of where it's at now. And I even went furthermore, as into, I believe, a few African Americans lived a few yards south, more towards Lake Avenue in the Morton Plant area, that type of area, to which I was affirmed by the Historical Society that my recollection was correct. Here's my biggest thing with this, and I'm sure everybody in the room can see where their narrative's going, and it boils my blood, and I don't know your heart. I only know what you're telling me and what people have been told, and that's going to be between you and the good Lord above, and much wise, where I come from is between me and God. But here's where I come from in looking over the historical timeline of how things are developing, it would seem to me, especially after talking to Pastor Childs, that the African-American community is being used as a means to an end. And it boils my blood to think that that might be appropriate or happening. So I want you to know that through the reason I'm asking questions and seeing certain things is because it seems like go to the Garden's website and watch the first video. I've told you this in your meeting with your team. It doesn't seem like an African-American championship video. It seems like a backwards compliment sandwich in I Hate Scientology. It is anti-Scientology, followed by African-American community, followed by more, we don't like Scientology. I can't tell you when you started this, and we can go back and watch the recording about the revival and the healing that we need. How many times you mentioned Scientology negatively before we even went into the African-American community? So again, I'm going to say my piece, you can say your piece,
Thank you.
and our hearts will be known by the good Lord above. But if that comes to fruition, that they are being used as a means to an end, that's just terrible.
Thank you, Ryan. I know we serve the same God. Psalm 139, it ends by saying, search me, try me, show me if there's any wicked way in me, and lead me in the way of everlasting. That is the passage that I pray constantly. The other passage that Jesus said was, he who has ears to hear, let him hear what the Spirit is saying, and that has guided me through this whole process. And I was listening. It was Barbara Story Love's testimony on March 17th, right here in front of the dais, that inspired the idea. I did not come up with this African-American cause. She spoke it. She reminded everyone that the garden community used to be here. And so I said, you know what? Okay, God, I'll put that in my heart as well. Other people were complaining about Scientology. I put that in my heart as well. I put it all together. And one of my gifts, Ryan, I think as you've seen, is that I can assemble things. I can clearly present the vision. And I seem to be a good servant in that capacity for this moment. And I've tried to put together the best proposal we could in the short amount of time. As far as the miscommunication with the African-American community, there's another verse that says, he who hastens with his feet sins, or in a multitude of words, sin is not lacking. And both things were true. Number one, we had to quickly put in a proposal. We couldn't speak to all constituents. And I had to share what the proposal was, which is a multitude of words. I made mistakes and I misspoke, and I will, and you will too. But what matters is my reputation, and if you ask the people, anyone who had something against me, I went straight, face to face. I apologize if I did anything wrong. They understood my intent and my heart. They helped clarify things that I was unaware, and we improved the proposal, and thank you for giving us an extension to do that. So as far as I can tell, we have great amount of support. Pastor Childs and many pastors from his ministerial alliance have signed a letter of endorsement. We have also letter endorsements for other people, plus all the petitions, so I digress.
With that, are you just going to, okay. So with that, I would also like to ask you, did you at any point in time in your meeting with the African-American community tell them that they would get this to be voted on specifically? That this would be its own vote? That this
Can you try to start over?
Did you at any point in time, when meeting with the African-American community, Pastor Childs and his group, or any member here, tell them that this would be brought to a formal vote?
I have no idea how the process works. The question is, did I tell them that this would be brought to a formal vote? I told them we have the right as citizens to put in an alternative proposal. We have a land use attorney who's trying to guide us to work with the city manager and council members to understand the process. It's a learning curve for all of us, including some of you. So I didn't make any guarantees that this would be voted for. I would certainly hope it would be voted on, which is my request. Thank you for reminding me. Please make sure this is voted on May 15th.
Well, the reason that I ask you that question is because in my conversation too with Pastor Childs, he said that you had already assured him of that. So listen,
what was my assurance, if you may be clear? I'd hate to be, what would you
Mr. Gibbs, I'm very clear. There's no
No, it's
fact
actually,
of
what did I
misclarity
guarantee him?
that this would be a formal vote. So here's the problem. It could be a misinterpretation of what he said. Is what I'm saying is that my conversations with them, it seems like there's still a lot of unanswered things that are happening. And again, I'm going to leave it at this and we can move on.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know your heart.
I'm telling you, neither, and I don't know yours,
Exactly.
but I like you.
But
I wish we could hang out.
And that's what nothing says we can't.
And Miss Barbara would like to respond to that statement
Absolutely.
that you said.
Well, I founded the Clearwater African American Foundation, I think in 2022, because there was no conversation about preserving or memorializing African American land, space, buildings, or anything African American in the meetings that I attended. There was nothing. And when the Elks was demolished, I said, Lord, somebody needs to do something. And I asked myself, why not me? Last January, I came to the city council meeting and asked about the city purchasing the Friendship Missionary Baptist Church, which is on Gould Street in the corner of Madison Avenue. That is the first building that I spoke about because it was on the street where I grew up. I've had conversations with the CRA, I've had conversations with the mayor, I've had conversations with my classmate here, and nothing was said until I was told that the council was going to vote for Scientology and the South Garden Avenue property. I said, well, you know, I'm not even concerned with Scientology. But since Garden Avenue is in the conversation, I'm going to go out and present my request to not forget about Garden Avenue, which is what I did. That is where my heart is. And I don't think Mr. Gibbs, after going through what he's going through, and we've all gone through in the last five weeks, our hearts, to question our hearts and our intentions, I don't understand it.
Well, again, Ms. Story Love, I'm not questioning your heart or intention. That's not true. That's not true. What I am questioning is how something was presented to the African American community, and if they may or may not have misinterpreted or misheard something. Because I do not want...
Folks.
Because I do not want our African American community to be
Exploited.
misrepresented.
Nor would
And
I.
I would
Nor would I.
be remiss if I didn't say anything.
Yes, I appreciate it. Thank you so much for making your concerns known. I'm not a guy you should be concerned about to do such a thing. I'm a man of integrity. I'm a man of God. I answer and fear God more than anything else. My ambition is to do what's right. I'm putting things together. The people believe this is right. Can this be voted on? Let me just ask you, since you're the one that brought it up. Can this be voted on?
I will not be bringing this up for a formal vote, no.
So then someone would have to basically make a motion to vote on it?
I would have to ask city staff.
So you don't know?
How that would have to formally go out.
Okay.
Yeah, we're asking questions, you all right now, so, you got anything
I'm
else?
done. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Councilmember Menino.
All right, let's take a deep breath. Let's all get back grounded. And Brooks, I ran into you having coffee the other day. That was nice, and I appreciate you praying with me, first and foremost. I want to commend you and the whole group for the efforts, the time you've put in. Whether there's a motive to be questioned, I'm not poking holes in that. I want to commend you and recognize the work that's been put in to get to this place. Whether I'm supportive or not, that's not the point. I want to acknowledge the work you put in, and I know it's been a team effort.
Yes.
And I know it's been a passionate team effort. So thank you for that, first and foremost, because your passion is in Clearwater, and regardless of what the project is, it's what we're all trying to do is find a way to heal our city. It needs healing. I said that earlier. You said it as well. Pastor James, you said it as well, right? We need healing. Where we need to find is what is that path to healing and what is the right path. And we may disagree on what that path is, but I appreciate the time and your efforts in putting this proposal. Can you help me in a couple questions, if you don't mind? And it's not to trip you up. You're far smarter gentleman for me to trip up right now. Can you tell me what is Reconnect Clearwater? Is it a legal entity? Is it a 501c3, just so I have an idea?
Reconnect Clearwater was established for this particular project and will live on. Just like any time you build anything, there's an LLC that's created for the project. Same thing with a nonprofit entity. Now, we are registered with the state. We're also registered with the city. We had to register Reconnect Clearwater to do business with you guys. And we're under temporarily a fiscal sponsor, which is what people in our situation do. When you start a new nonprofit, you have to wait a certain amount of months before you're actually getting approval from the federal level and the state level for your 501c3 nonprofit status. So we are under the umbrella of another nonprofit in the meantime. But we are moving forward and establishing board of directors, et cetera.
Would you
to
be
prepare.
illegal, I'm sorry, are you done?
I am.
I don't mean to
Brooks
step
and
on
Dunn,
your
go
words.
for it. Yeah.
Will you be a legal entity
Well, we are right
by
now.
Thursday?
We are a legal entity right now.
Okay. Regarding what the council member was saying, because I was a part of some of those communications as well, and if you don't mind, I'm not going to use my own words, I'm going to use, because what I don't want and what we don't need as a community is to set a narrative that our city is divided racially, or that we are trying to create some sort of division in our community, that there's already a bit of friction, understandably so, because of the history of bodies and cemeteries. And I hope that that's a whole different issue, and I hope as a community we can find a way to heal through that. But what was said is regarding this plan was that Reconnect Clearwater has no prior relationship with our community, yet they're now reportedly attempting to bribe the African-American community by, I'm just reading this, just let me finish. Do you mind if I,
Please
and I'm
do.
not trying to offend you or
No,
anyone
man.
else,
I mean,
again.
please do.
By asking for official support for their proposal in exchange for getting support from multiple millionaires to help fund other projects in North Greenwood and beyond. Is that?
Can you tell me who said that?
I don't necessarily think that's
Well, if you
important.
say-
I'm just asking.
If you say,
It's not
if you read her
important.
quote,
Please let the council member ask questions and let them respond. Reconnect, yeah.
so are you waiting for me?
I mean, you can answer it or you're not.
Yeah,
I'm just asking.
I'm just, Lena Morrison, is that who said it?
Lena Morrison.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's going to be people who refuse to talk to me, refuse to have a conversation with me, refuse to ask questions, make up things, hear things via hearsay. You know, I've taught social skills to kids for 25 years. My PhD is in social psychology. I teach third graders that you do not just believe something, a rumor, you have to go to the source. And if you have a problem with someone, you go directly to them. Also, I talk a lot about not getting offended, you know, to give people the benefit of the doubt and let all your behavior be governed by the golden rule. It has been heartbreaking to me to see the dysfunctional behavior of grown-ups when it comes to information they know nothing about, and they're happy to slander and spread rumors. This is certainly one of them. No, sir, I've never bribed millions of
That's
dollars
fair.
to Africa.
So that's-
I will answer because it was quite a scandalous accusation. I have not bribed anyone, certainly not, nor would I or could I. I don't have millions. I'm a thousandaire. I'm not a millionaire. And so I don't bribe people to somehow endorse this.
And I thank you for that. All I was looking for, and I knew you would give it to me, was your honesty, and I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Thank you.
So you are familiar with that email that Ms. Morrison sent? Would
Yes.
you, or Ms. Barbara Sori-Love would probably speak to it, would you disagree with her historical facts that she identifies in here regarding the African-American communities and the history?
You know, I appreciate her sending that hate mail, because in that email was information that I did not have, and it's good information. So I agree with the information she sent where they had the directories attached. I don't know if you have that information in there.
Yes,
The
ma'am.
directories of the businesses.
Yes, ma'am.
It was a good email as far as that is concerned, but for her to send it in the tone that she sent was uncalled for.
I got you.
And I don't even know her. I've never met her.
I've never met her either, and I can't speak to her tone. I just wanted to see if we were, because when we're identifying an African-American history or the history of downtown, I think it's important that while we're reimagining it, that's one thing, we can't rewrite it.
Well, now here's a
Right?
very important thing to answer your question to me, and then I also included her at your suggestion. It was this. The land we're on right now was traded for one slave. The year was 1842. All right, Clearwater. I mean, that's $1 billion now worth, 160 acres at $6.5 million per acre. That's $1 billion trade for an African-American life. So people like this madam who came and shared her opinions. She was going to 1950. She was going to 1932 was her earliest history example. But you have to go back to even 1842, and you realize all this land was the land of the African Americans. Now, I don't want to be divided. In fact, the story, if you read the proposal, and I know you do your homework, dude, you are quite
We've
the
met
reader.
several times.
You are
We've
very good.
discussed it
Yeah,
at
you're a
length.
good student. And you know that the proposal was not about division. I'm a peacemaker. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called children of God. Peacemaking, that means the African Americans and the white-owned businesses work together to be the workforce that built what we call downtown Clearwater. That's the story of unity, and it allows to show the diversity, but working towards a common goal.
I got you. I appreciate you. I think it's important to know that even our African-American community is split on support in this. Am I correct in saying that? It's probably fair?
I found that if they receive funds from the Church of Scientology, they really do not like our particular proposal.
Okay.
That's been my experience.
Urban Leadership Coalition, are they supportive of this project?
Some people would not meet with me. I tried to reach
So-
out to everyone.
No? Clearwater Colored Cemetery Society, are they in
The
sup-
3C Society, Ms. Diane?
Well,
Yeah.
I'm the communications person for
Yeah.
the 3C Society.
Come over
Yes,
here.
ma'am.
I'm the communications persons for the 3C Society.
So you can speak on behalf.
I can speak on behalf of the 3C Society. And if
Would
I'm
Ms.
not,
Diane agree with that?
yes, she would.
Okay.
She'll be here on Thursday to
Right.
speak on our
Good.
behalf.
Fair
Mr.
enough.
Gibbs, Jill Gibbs, Kelly, we sat down with Miss Diane, Miss Petriva, Miss Lois, and Pastor Childs, and we ironed out the disagreement. We moved forward with forgiveness and love, and we have received their blessings to move forward. The coalition, they will not meet with you. I have not had an opportunity to meet with them. I welcome the opportunity
I got you.
to meet with them. However, their conversation, and they're doing good things in North Greenwood, but my concern was there's North Greenwood, there's the Clearwater Heights, and there's Garden Avenue. Garden Avenue was not even getting any conversation until I stepped to the lectern on, which day was that? March 17th, and mentioned, let's not forget Garden Avenue in the discussion because of his historic presence.
Councilmember Menino and
Yes, ma'am.
Council, thank you. I do have one piece of additional information from the Clearwater Urban Coalition, not from them, but I had reached out to them. I have an email on that morning of Thursday, April 3rd. This is what I said. My name is Kelly, and I am part of a team that is exploring alternatives to benefit citizens of Clearwater. Instead of seeing our city sell South Garden Avenue to Scientology at tonight's council meeting, my friend and I spoke at Monday afternoon's CRA meeting during the Citizens to be Heard about items not on the agenda. I believe that Gloria Campbell attended that meeting and heard us share our thoughts about the city's upcoming vote. I would love to connect with Gloria this morning, if at all possible, and also with Barbara Sorilev. I listened to her comments from the March 17th council meeting about South Garden Avenue. Any help that you can provide in getting us connected would be greatly appreciated. Thank you. Blessings, Kelly Meyer. And I have not heard
Yeah,
back, but I
fair.
want you to know.
And I appreciate,
Yeah.
and
Thank
my
you.
point isn't, to poke holes. My point is to say, not only are we divided as a council and divided as a city, but our African-American community is divided as well. So I don't want a narrative to be established that it's the city versus our African-American community or our African-American community against this council, because Ms. Love, we know that to not be true, and that's the only reason I asked her. So thank you for reaching out, and thank you Thank you for that. Ms. Love, would you agree with this statement? And again, this isn't to trip you up, I'm using those words. The Garden Avenue African-American neighborhood ended at Drew Street and went no further south. Downtown was never part of the African-American community.
I cannot attest to that because probably I'm only 73 years old.
Okay, this gentleman said I was born in Clearwater 80 years ago. He's got you by a couple of years.
And my recollection of Garden Avenue is the North Garden Avenue area
Yes, ma'am.
and the businesses that were there.
Yeah.
But until now, there was no discussion on North or South Garden Avenue. So I chose the opportunity to speak about South Garden Avenue as being the memorial place for the garden, Save the Garden.
I got you. And
I
I'm
have an
moving along.
answer for that, actually. The African-American community did have an African-owned bar called Mano's on the corner of Pierce and South Garden Avenue, and that's right by that bus area. Also, there was a catering place where Emily's, I think, is, or whatever that restaurant is. It's like a mom-and-pop diner. It used to be a catering shop. African-Americans would essentially make the food for many of the hotel issues. J.D. Baskins also had a building right next to that had a laundromat and press where you'd iron clothes, and he employed African-Americans to basically wash the sheets of the city. So to say that African-Americans didn't have any type of, life or activity down there is just not true.
Yeah.
And I think it's irrelevant, honestly. The argument is moot because we're trying to put that story in the center of the city, which is so great because so many people pass that every single day. And if there is an auditorium that they certainly could build right there, they had renderings of it in 2017 with a road going. It wasn't a problem when they had it built and renderings then. We'd have thousands of people being able to see the memorial. So for us as a team, we think this is the perfect spot.
And I appreciate that. And the reason I ask is because it seems like the goalposts keep getting moved a little bit with this proposal. Originally, we were so passionate and gung-ho on a Mac Dixon Memorial Garden.
Yeah, may I respond to that? I mean, you brought that up twice.
No, it's not a question. I'm just making a statement because that's
We
originally
have corrected that, and you keep bringing it up. It is now Save the Garden.
I get
We
that.
have corrected that with the 3C Society, sir.
I get that. And,
Okay.
And can you spell Mac Dixon for me, please?
Well, there's an informal way and a formal way. Many times in the Tampa Bay Times, it's MAC, and then in some other
Which family
history
members
books,
found disrespectful to misspell it. Is that correct in saying?
I've not talked. Listen, I've talked to Pastor Childs, and
I gotcha.
and I have. Whenever you have some greatness in your history,
Yeah.
that's sacred. I have a granddad that's like that.
I agree.
And if I knew at the time that that someone's grandson would be upset by something, I would thought honestly that they'd be thrilled that we were taking a name that used to be called Mac Dixon Neighborhood.
Right.
Now it's changed to Heights. I thought they would be thrilled because he was obviously a leader back in the day, and so I was shocked that anyone would take offense. And so we just took that name out, and I am still willing, if Pastor Childs and the other family wants to have a memorial for Mac Dixon, a great hero in our community, we are more than willing to feature them. But
If we do, I would say let's spell the name correct, only because it's spelled wrong 5 times in your original proposal. And
Well,
if
we use
are-
the informal
if
spelling,
we are
yeah.
so
Yeah.
passionate and geared on respecting and remembering a legacy and a heritage, let's make sure that we spell a name correctly.
Right. Thank you.
That is a question. I think it's important.
Thank you.
Did we do a traffic study on your one-way road that I think I just heard you say for the first time will be heading north? Is that the way the one lane will go? And I think that was a great question, Mayor. Thank you for asking earlier.
We were struggling to get feedback because of the last-minute nature of this whole thing from the staff, from the city. We have not done any independent traffic studies. We know the Church of Scientology has. We believe the city has also done that. And so, that seems like redundancy to me, but we'd like feedback. If the city said we want traffic study, you're going to get it in a matter of days.
And the reason I ask isn't to say what you didn't do on it. It was interesting to hear that you would choose to route them north and not route traffic south to help feed them to Court Street and get down to the beach. And I didn't know if you were going to tell me there was a study.
You have to turn right
Yeah,
from Court.
you
You
can-
have
Right.
to go
You have to
north.
go right, right-hand turn off Court. Which makes sense.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
No, you can come
Yeah,
down
you're
Court
right.
and you can take a right.
But for the PSTA, that would be murder.
And you can come down South Garden and you can take a right.
To the beach, I guess, you're right.
Yeah, thank you.
We
Okay.
can address that a little bit further for you, actually. I know when we were looking at the city documents, there were issues with the PSTA and having that road completely blocked. So that's why we thought an open roadway, at least northbound, to relieve traffic that's going to the beach, that could then turn right on Garden still to get into the downtown made the most sense. However, we are very flexible with that as well, and that's why we were disappointed that we don't have any feedback yet from the city staff or departments, but we are more than welcome to work with anything to help the traffic flow of our city, so.
Gotcha.
Thank you.
Okay. I want to wrap up because I've taken up plenty of time, but what I do want to, again, is to thank you. To thank you for the work you put in. Thank you for your passion. I truly hope, whether it's this is the path that we take, I truly hope we all stay committed and committed to healing this community. You know, there has been challenges in our African American community for a long time. In just within the last handful of years, we've struggled to keep the MLK Neighborhood Coalition building open. I don't know if you've had any involvement of fighting for them, but I don't believe so. The African American History Museum has been struggling. I don't believe this group has came to the table. I know somebody in the audience offered $30,000 to help this fund. I would just hope that we continue this passion, this energy, and drive in healing the community. And if it isn't this project on this specific 0.63 acres of roadway, I hope your attention and passion into our community continues, because I do know there are other avenues that we definitely need help in healing as a community. So I thank you.
Councilmember Teixeira.
I think this is a good time to reboot, okay? And let's look at this pragmatically. I am not going to question you any other differently than I did with the Church of Scientology. So I'm not going to talk about bribes. I'm not going to talk about knowing your heart. I'm just not doing that. I'm not going to question the validity of the history or the validity of should you be there or should you not be there, should you be somewhere else. I'm treating both parties equally and pragmatically. I also want to emphasize I don't have an opinion on where it should be. You know, that is something that the community can decide. And like every community, it's not unanimous, and I don't pretend to know what that would be. So my concern is maneuverability and access. We have invested millions of dollars and so much resources to revitalize downtown. We have many projects that have already completed and many more that are coming forward. One actually was brought to my attention this week, and I totally forgot, which is the old PSTA site. We have developers interested in that. Again, this road will have a negative impact. So my question is this. Would you consider not blocking any lane? Because that is something that is very important to me. Access and maneuverability to the downtown that we have all been working so hard for. Would a memorial just on a sidewalk decrease it? Because I don't feel that the design you have right now is enough for access. And it also, to me, looks cramped and might have security issues with having one lane and then a park. So would you consider just not blocking either side of the street and just have a memorial in a smaller scale?
We have been longing to work with the city council on this matter for any suggestions. So of course, we would adjust it to a way that would work for everybody. Our goal is win-win. And so if you're saying you need a south exit, or instead of just a one-way north towards Franklin, you need a south lane as well to Court Street, and you could explain that the wisdom of that, we submit to superior logic. So yes, we're team players, and there's something we could do. We could be creative.
And you're willing to lease instead of purchase?
I think that would be in the best interest of the community to actually have the city maintain ownership. I don't think you should be selling the street. But if you are going to, then we would like to make a proposal to purchase it. But no, we're happy with the lease.
So I understand that there's been a lot of heated discussion and conversations and going back and forth, but I do want to go on record that I do realize this is a grassroots effort. Big group of diverse people with diverse opinions. You are not a multi-billion-dollar entity who's had a year to prepare, and I acknowledge that, and I just wanted to thank all of you, because one thing is a fact, you are passionate about wanting what you think is the right thing to do. So I wanted to formally thank you for that.
Thank you, Lena. Thank you.
Do you have anything? Any questions? Any other questions?
I mean, the city manager had something to say about city staff involvement a little bit earlier, but I think she got missed.
Yeah, I'm happy to answer any questions that the council might have as it relates to staff's response. We have been incredibly responsible and so are responsive to them, and so happy to answer any questions that you might have as it relates to that.
I don't have any, but.
Okay.
Thank you for your responsiveness.
Okay.
I do have one more statement to say to mainly all of our African Americans that are here in the room. And listen, the reason that I asked you, Reverend Williams, about this is because I, as a first responder in my community, have seen racism firsthand with my partner on a rescue of somebody calling 911 and then not, literally we open the door and they see my African American partner and say, he can't come in here. And I can't tell you how that made me feel. So that's why I'm asking the questions I'm asking, because I genuinely care about you guys in that community, the African American community, and I want to make sure that you guys have all the knowledge and everything that's going on beforehand, because I do care. And I want to make sure that you all understand the facts and everything that was presented, because it does seem like there were some discrepancies. So this isn't trying to pit one against the other. I think that, you know, Councilmember Menino and the mayor and a few Vice Mayor Teixeira have said it very eloquently. Honestly, this is about healing and making sure that you guys are championed, and I want to make sure that that's done in the right way, and I think that the CRA would be a great way of doing that, and maybe forming a coalition to talk about that and make sure it is in the right place and going forward. I just want you to man, everybody else that's in this room, to understand where my heart is coming from, because I have seen a glimpse of the disgustingness that is racism and division, and it hit me like a truck then, and if you can't tell, it's making me a little emotional now, and quite frankly, just making me angry. So again, I don't know the heart and intent of the proposal. I wish and pray that it is to champion your community. And if we can't do it this way, I don't think we let it die here. If it's this group that wants to continue with that and go forward and make sure it is in the right location and everybody does agree and that this gets done, I think it is important. And I think that our CRA would be a huge area to establish that, not just for funding, but for also the future preservation of it as well. So I just want you all and anybody else that's in the audience sitting down to know that. That's where my questioning and concern was coming from. Okay?
Mr. Cotton, I appreciate your comments. It's a privilege for me to pastor the oldest African-American church in the city, and I try to live and move in the spirit of discernment. And when I had a conversation with Dr. Gibbs, my spirit was intact, and I trust what he's trying to do for the African-American community and the city.
Thank you.
I just have to say,
Tony, unless they've got a question for you, then anybody else got any more questions?
Mr. Cotton, if you vote, yes for us, you'll provide the momentum that we need, that we have, to continue to help the African American community with all their other challenges. So thank you.
Anything else? Okay, well, thank you for coming today and presenting. Appreciate it. All right, now, council discussion on this item. Councilmember Cotton, I think you wanted.
Sure, I'll start it off because I'll speak to, I've taken some notes here, and, you know, it was my request that, a non-binding verbal request, that they show the Cleveland Street downtown as a portion of the larger 15-minute video that was not produced 8 years prior, but it is a newer video that has been done by Scientology, in order to say that, you know, the city can make its taxpayer, I think that I have to give staff, first off, great recognition in what I believe is an ironclad sales contract. We have provisions that that protect taxpayers, that require the timely completion of a building that will also then add to the tax rolls and going forward. So in that 15-minute video, as Councilmember Albritton has alluded to, there was, a fantastic family center, and then there was even a residential portion and component of their video. I see this, what we've done, as leverage. Hey, you came here as Scientology. People cheered that Scientology stood here, a representative from the church, to clap that they're in the sunshine, trying to move forward. And I think that is a good thing, because it's what we all want, because I think everybody believes or thinks that they're a secretive organization, that things have been done behind closed doors, and that's what's led to the stagnation for decades. And here we can see the change of that happening. They've been on a radio show. They've been here in the public at the podium to explain to you what they plan on doing. And as I even asked, if it's written, if it isn't written, it isn't true type of a thing, which we have answered by Scientology representative. So I believe that the video shows their intent. They've told our intent, and I think we've got to also step back. The video that we all saw when we met with David Miscavige, and we had the city manager there and their staff members, originally they were asking for 3 properties, right? They were asking for Garden, they were asking for the fire station, and for the Osceola lot, the CMA lot, that's a parking lot now. So I am no developer, right? I mean, I just have to take information in, do some homework, and get into it. But from an aspect of trying to stay engaged, I would see the trade-offs happening. Activate downtown with Garden Avenue. And then if they want the fire station, well, we're not even going to talk about the fire station until we see the active, vibrant downtown that we want. But if you got that going, sure, you're showing that you're being a good neighbor, as was said on a recent podcast. And I think that's what can happen, is I think you can see that activation if they're being a good neighbor and coming to the table and allowing staff to then move forward with the next phase. And that next phase could be the staple that is to draw people into Cleveland, or to get the family center going. For what? What does the next deal look like? So that's why I don't think, for me specifically, I did not need the whole 15, I'm estimating, minute video. I was looking specifically for Cleveland Street. I think that Scott Dobbins and everybody else has pointed out, Vice Mayor, you said that you're disappointed that we haven't seen anything in 8 years, and I completely agree, right? Like, decades have gone by where there's stagnation and things aren't happening, and I think that that's a frustration that we all share, every Clearwater Floridian, right? But I do believe that they gave an active answer to that, and it comes with assimilation, right, and trying to assemble all of these buildings. And I'm, again, no general contractor, no developer. So those are points of view that I didn't know or think to look through. So, there's those types of things, and that's really what I wanted to hash out about that portion of the Scientology video. I was already able to address the group here about where my heart is coming from, the African American, so I'm not going to hit that again. But to Ms. Meyer, if you would please get that 500 petitions that you have to us to email it.
Excuse me, Kelly.
Is it in the booklet? Thank you so much.
Sir, I see you raising your comment card. We'll take public comment on Thursday night. That's when our open meeting. This is just a work session for us to discuss ourselves. So, sir, there's no public comment right now. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, sir. Yeah. You may continue. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, that's fine. So really, those were some of the things that I wanted to allude to, and I'll definitely look at those petitions as well. But that's from just to see kind of where that stagnation is and where we're going. And I mean, listen, I have to attest, you walk Cleveland Street and there's things being done, and I would be naive to think that that's just the beginning, right? Because you could keep it empty, right? And that's why I wanted this shown. I wanted Scientology to say firsthand in the public eye on a recording No, we intend on leasing those. So not only do we have the leasing agent that says we're actively looking for it, you have Scientology also here, not a representative, an actual Scientology representative that says, this is our plan, this is what we're going to do. Because quite frankly, I don't think the city has ever had anything like that. This now has a flag planted in the ground that we, future city staff, future elected officials can always point back to, right here and right now. And it's either you did it and you succeeded, or you didn't. And we knew that's how it was going to be, and we can point back to it, and it's leverage. So yes, it's non-binding. It's not going to hold up in the court of law, but that's why I wanted those things to be done, to give other assurances that we can point back to and have those tangible grit to move forward and propel forward. Thank you.
Councilmember Menino?
Thank you, Mayor. My greater priority in this decision-making process is finding a way to make our downtown district an active and thriving district for all the citizens of Clearwater. Not just for an institution, not just for one corner of our community, for the entirety of our community. And that's what we share. We all share that same goal. We are not so divided. We may get home and see a news clip that shows an emotional meeting and split sides, when we all know walking out of here, we're truly not. We're in this for the same reasons, to activate and develop a thriving downtown for all of our citizens. It is of a greater priority of me to find a way for us as a city, as a council, as a staff, and as a community to heal, to move forward, to find a way to collaborate with an organization that we have a horrible track record with. Let's just be honest. We do. We are in a horrible marriage that needs counseling. We would all agree with that. What we can't figure out is, what does that path of counseling look like? What does that strategy, what does that roadway look like to bring us to a place where we can slowly inject little pieces of trust that slowly move the meter of healing our community? And that's of a greater priority to me. So in this decision-making process, I do not see this as a divided city, Save the Garden proposal versus the church proposal, the church proposal versus the city proposal. This is a decision-making process where we need to make a decision on what is in the best interest of the entirety of our city and what truly heals and brings our city forward. You know, when I had discussions with the church, just like everybody did, I told them flat out, the easy part of this puzzle is development and activation. That's the easy part, because if you spend it, they will come. They say that for a reason. If we put $250 million of development in a downtown district with a beautiful park on the water, they're going to come. People want to be a part of that, and I don't blame them. The bigger challenge is changing the perception of our community. The bigger challenge is how we truly heal those emotional wounds and move forward. And you do that by accepting the path we've taken is broken and has not worked. We do that by not pointing fingers of blame, by taking accountability on both sides of the table and saying, we were wrong as a city and as a staff on multiple levels. The church has definitely been wrong at multiple levels, and we can point fingers back and forth. But is there a place in this community we can truly come forward together in the lights, in City Hall, have open, honest, transparent communications that are challenging for both sides? I mean, for the first time, we had the governmental relations and community affairs director of the Church of Scientology in your City Hall that we've been begging for how many years? We've been begging for it, and now it's here. Those are steps forward that we need in this healing process. So development, activation, and healing, it's a process. I wish there was an easy button. I wish we could push that red button up here and have activation and leases and everything be alive. That's not realistic. what's realistic, that will show us as a council if we are making the right decision or not when it comes to us on Thursday, is TIME. TIME is what's going to heal our city. TIME is what's going to move our city forward. And TIME is the only thing that's going to show us if we're making the right decisions. And I look forward to continuing this process. Thursday is not the end of a conversation or the end of a discussion. Thursday's the beginning of a deeper conversation of how to truly move this city forward. And I truly believe that in my heart of hearts. So I thank all of you for the work you've put in, for the passion you put in for our community. I thank all the citizens for being a part of it. Don't lose faith in whatever direction we go. Stay involved. Hold this city accountable. Hold us as a council accountable. And we'll all hold the Church of Scientology accountable by having these discussions in City Hall transparently and in the sunshine for the first time in 50 years.
Councilmember Teixeira, excuse me, Vice Mayor.
I have a different view of this. I'm not looking for healing. To me, it's very pragmatic. This is a business deal. We are a government body. Agreements should be in writing. If it's not in writing, it is not true. That I agree. So as a representative of Clearwater citizens, it is my obligation to try as much as I can to get the best deal for our citizens. And so I understand the need for the video in terms of let's show everyone what's being discussed. It's only fair. What I don't agree with is the significance placed on that video in terms of the end result. And I'm not going to go through history, but let's just go through the history that we've all been here present. It was last year that the very building that we work in was purchased, and we were blindsided. And Mayor Rector talked about trust and the lack of trust. So that's why I think it's important to be pragmatic. If we need to move forward, then everything has to be in writing. We do it with every other entity. I don't understand why we're making an exception now. This sale of this public street, that's what we're discussing. There's nothing in writing about what we're getting back. Nothing. Even those videos does not show what type of businesses are going in. It's very general. And what have we seen about the assemblage? The assemblage is 11 nonprofits in a row, beautiful pastel colors. So it all comes down to this, in my opinion. I truly believe that all of us are here because we care. We're all here because we want to be part of the solution to improve our city. We want to be part of that team. So are we going to be the council that has repeated the same mistakes since 1984, where we vacate property with promises, or are we going to be the city leadership, the city council, that brokered or negotiated a tough but fair deal where the citizens of Clearwater, in writing, get something back? We did not put the street for sale. We didn't. We have 3 things that the Church of Scientology wants. Never are we talking about what we want. We want activation, and we want it in writing. Everybody agrees. So unless it's in written form, it doesn't exist. So what will be our legacy?
Councilmember Robert, do you have anything to share?
Yeah, I got a few things to share. You know, being the oldest on council is like, you got positives and you got negatives on this. Negatives are I've been around long enough to see this whole thing happen because I've been here all my life. And the last 20 years, I've been really putting a lot of effort in trying to get downtown vibrant again, because I can remember it as a child, and I know some people get tired of me saying that, but I can remember as a child being proud of Clearwater over St. Pete and Tampa because we had a vibrant downtown. We had movie theaters, bakeries, we had everything. You wanted to see people you knew, you went downtown because they were all there. So I wrote some thoughts down, and I'm going to read them because I want to make sure I get everything that I wanted to say. So, as I mentioned before, I've spent over 2 decades working to enhance the vibrancy in our downtown. This has been a challenging task, largely because Scientology has established its headquarters in Clearwater. Despite having ample time to show a true commitment to activating its downtown properties for the benefit of residents and visitors, Scientology has consistently fallen short. For the past 50 years, Scientology has shown little genuine interest in contributing to the vibrancy of our downtown until it presented its grand plan to the council during one-on-one meetings held nearly 3 months ago now. This ambitious initiative extends from Osceola Avenue to Missouri Avenue along Cleveland Street. It aims to address several questions, including why Scientology has acquired so much property in and around the downtown core. The answer lies in its development plan using parcel assemblage and intending to attract targeted merchants and restaurants along Cleveland Street for the benefit of both residents and its parishioners. My only request of Scientology was that they make their grand plan public. So after the whole thing was said and done, I just said I have one request. The public's got to know about this, because if I go out, I'm excited, I love the plan, and I try to sell it to the public, they're going to wonder what I'm talking about. So anyway, it has been almost 3 months since our initial meeting, and my patience is running thin. My eagerness to initiate an active downtown may have clouded my judgment regarding trust in Scientology's plan. However, I find it difficult to trust them to execute this plan when they won't even share the complete plan openly. Moreover, my stance on the sale of the public street has shifted as I reflected on what was promised compared to what was actually has been revealed. Thursday night, I will vote against the sale of Garden Avenue and adopting Ordinance 9812-25. I may reconsider the vacation of Garden Avenue's right-of-way only after the full plan is made public and the current projects underway on Cleveland Street are completed, along with the promised restaurants and retail establishments there that will benefit the public. That's it.
Thank you, Councilmember. I have a few comments. First, I'd like to say there is no reason to close this street. No reason at all. When I ask about traffic studies, that this street is never used by anyone, that is completely different from my personal experience. I use this street every day. I talk to the people in our City Hall building that use this portion of the street every day. I left an event at the Sound on Saturday night, and every parking spot was full on that street. And I go through there frequently. Why do I and others use it? Well, we changed to complete streets on Fort Harrison a number of years ago. We narrowed that, and the traffic backs up way north and south on Fort Harrison. Not even when a concert's letting out, just during the daytime traffic, rush hour. I don't care. It's a little like we're trying to get people out to Clearwater Beach, and Clearwater Ferry, fortunately, is running again. Whatever volume they carry on the ferry out to the beach relieves stress on the causeway. And closing this street, I don't care if it's a huge volume of cars or not, it relieves traffic going to and from Cleveland Street, the Sound. There is no public reason we need this street. And particularly in a downtown where we don't have enough streets north and south going in and out. So, I was willing to consider it if there had been some plan. I don't know what the alternative plan is to get traffic coming and going there, but I have not heard anything. And I, to kind of piggyback on what Councilmember Albritton said, this is their presentation today was the most underwhelming presentation I've seen. It had nothing to do with closing Garden Avenue. It had to do with other things, and I appreciate that a council member asked them to present on that. But I wanted to hear about why are you asking us to close this street? And the only thing I can understand from what was presented today and what's been presented so far is because they want to build a bigger building and a bigger auditorium, I guess. They want a bigger footprint. Well, folks, I don't remember what the exact number of parcels is that they have purchased over the last 7 to 10 years, but I think they've grown their footprint enough in downtown Clearwater. And closing this street just so they can build a bigger complex on US 60, the gateway to Clearwater Beach, that makes no sense to me at all. So if, it's a free world, and they certainly, I think, to build an auditorium on the East End lot that they already own, I don't even think they need, as long as they stay within the code parameters, I don't think they need any flexibility in the code to build an auditorium there. That's their choice. But certainly, I asked the question earlier, they've got all kinds of properties downtown Clearwater that they could put this auditorium on if they wanted to, where they wouldn't have to close the street. So I wanted to share that. I also wanted to share that we don't need an auditorium in downtown Clearwater. As I said earlier, our community just spent $84 million on a fantastic Coachman Park and a fantastic, becoming internationally renowned amphitheater with entertainment 2-3 times a week and big crowds coming out. We have a performance venue that seats up to 8,000 to 9,000 people, or at least can fit that many people in. We have the Capitol Theater, which is busy all the time for smaller groups. And we have Ruth Eckerd Hall, which have served our community for many years, and which Scientology used this past weekend for one of their events. The community doesn't need another auditorium. We got enough we're already trying to fill. So it's entirely for them, which, again, I appreciate. They can do whatever they want to do with their own property to serve their members, but for us, we need the street more than we need an auditorium. And for me, that's another reason to do it. I also want to say that the problem hasn't been pretty pictures and drawings, and there's a police station over here that they did a fantastic job renovating the police station, old police station. I don't know when's the last time I saw somebody coming and going from that building. It's a beautiful rehabilitation of a historic building. It is beautiful, but it's not used by the public. And if, whether or not we agree to close Garden Avenue, if Scientology cares about our community, they will still develop all these things that they're showing. They'll develop and put the public into these buildings. Whether we close the street or not, if they really care about Clearwater and growth of downtown Clearwater, they will do this without that. And the last thing I want to share is what I said earlier and what Councilmember Albritton said about trust. This is not my street. It's not the City Council's street, South Garden Avenue. It's the city street, and it's the citizen street. And an overwhelming number of our citizens do not want this street closed. They do not want to sell this street to anyone because many of them use it, or many of them want to maintain as much public control over downtown Clearwater as we can, and this street is part of that. The trust is a problem, and that, at the end of the day, is where the citizens, we have this divide between our citizens and Scientology. The trust comes from years of hearing about Scientology buying property and then not seeing any public activity in those properties. So if you want to change the trust level, follow through on what you're doing here. Put public access activities in these beautiful buildings that you're renovating. After a period of time of doing that, you will win the trust of the community. But until we see that, until we see public access operations in these buildings, you're not going to win the trust of our citizens. Too much has happened over the years, particularly all this land purchase with nothing happening in them, for us just to turn the switch or say, well, the pictures look great, Now, we're going to trust you to do it. We need to see it, and the citizens need to see it. And hopefully, over time, whether we close Garden Avenue or not, then you'll still do that, and then we will improve the relationship. But pretty pictures and making buildings look nice, that's not going to win the trust of the citizens. Only by putting public, active businesses and things in these buildings. Over time, will you change that? So I am going to vote no for vacating the street because I think we need the street. If we want to grow downtown Clearwater like we are, we want more and more volume in the park. We want more and more volume on Cleveland Street. We need this street. But if we don't, the alternative proposal for me is what we should go to, because they have been open to keeping at least one lane, and I agree with Councilman Teixeira, really 2 lanes would be ideal, to keep it an open, active public street. So those are my comments.
Mayor, I thank you. I just wanted to follow up real quick, and what I do want to make a comment to my friend, the Vice Mayor. I respect your decision, and I know this has been weighing on you and your family heavily, as it has all of us, because this is a very challenging position to be in. So challenging that no council that sat before us or city leadership has found the solution to solve it, and this is part of it. So I respect you. I greatly respect what decision you made tonight and whether it stays the same on Thursday. But I do hope that you sleep better tonight, getting that off your chest and getting that out, because I know how much it's weighed on you. So to all of our council, I say the same thing, and staff. I know we've worked hard on this, and not to necessarily go out and try to prove anything. That's not what this has been about. The discussions that we've been having is about learning and understanding what our citizens want, what our city wants. And as we digest those discussions, it brings us to a decision, and this decision has brought us in a place where we're split. And this won't be the first time we'll be split as a council, but we will be united on so many other things. But I just want to say, I know it's been challenging and tough on all of us and all of you, and I respect you for whatever decisions that are made going forward.
Anybody else? Okay. All right, with that, we will move to item 11 on the agenda, city manager reports.
Nothing, sir.
Okay. Item 12, city attorney reports.
Nothing right now.
Item 13, new business items.
I think that's me, isn't it?
I think it is, yeah.
Thank you. Yep, so this is just, again, to bring up for discussion, allowing staff to provide a framework for each council member to have their own budget for tickets and events. I brought this up the last meeting that we had, and it just seems like for budgeting purposes and so that we all understand what we have allotted and where it can go, it just seems like a no-brainer in a budgeting aspect of things. So I would like to have that discussion open, see where your all's thoughts are, and then see if we can't give direction to staff to allow them to provide said framework, and then us go from there.
Yeah, fine with me.
Okay, so you want to discuss this at some other point in time, I guess?
Well, I think we would,
Let's give staff
we're discussing it now, and then give staff direction so that we can see it in the next meeting is the purpose of this. That's why I had it put on the agenda item.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry if that wasn't clear.
I'm good with that.
I like that idea. I always like to have parameters in which to maneuver. Keeps me within the guardrails, and it also helps me make better decisions on how to prioritize things. So I'm fully in support of that.
Yeah, yeah, you can go ahead. Yeah.
You sure? You go ahead.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I think it's fine. What I don't, because I don't feel like, I was thinking about this today, in the private sector, you have a budget versus actual report every month. So if you have, allotment for whatever your community activities, whatever, you're getting a report every month. Okay, well, I've gone to so many things here, here's what's allotted, and, this is not on our past practice, whatever, but I don't know that I've ever gotten that report. And we talked the other day, I could ask for it, and I will, going forward. But I'm not against having some parameters set. I think right now we're all dipping out of the same budget. That's the case, right?
Yeah.
Well, yes and no. So, because we're mixing a couple of different things. So for travel, you each have your own individual. Tickets and stuff are different necessarily from travel. And then we also have our grants budget as well. So, it depends on what item specifically you're talking about. That's why we sent out to all of council so you could see exactly the budget actual that you were talking about, sir, so you could see where you all are at, because there was some concerns about running out of money, and that's why we distributed that. So we can certainly continue to do that on a monthly basis if that's something that you all want to see. Happy to do that. And what we would propose, if this is what council's looking for, is that we're in the budget process right now for next year. And so we can come up with moving funds around, for example, out of maybe the grants budget, and move that into providing an additional allocation to council. And so it's specific to each individual council member that this is their bucket to use for travel, for tickets, and we'll have different line items for that. So, and then we can meet together individually with each of the council to see how that proposed new budget looks like, and then bring that forward during the budget process.
So where this stemmed from was a recent internal event that we were invited to, and then if our spouses could or couldn't come, and the city attorney had to validate that of how it would go so that we're all ethical, right? Like, that's the main part of how taxpayer funds are being utilized. And that's where I think the discussion between myself and the city attorney kind of developed that, because I remember recently, looking at an event, because I do believe it is important for elected officials, especially the mayor, to be out in the community in which they're serving, to see people and show engagement and be active. But I also think that their spouses should also be with them too. It's the backbone that keeps us all sane, if I'm being honest, right? Mm-hmm. So that's kind of where this came from. That's why I said originally for tickets and events, because with that from what I understand through our conversation, a framework could be allotted to, yes, you have this budget for those events, and that includes your +1 with that. Because there was a time where I asked, hey, how much money is left in my budget? And that's when I was told, well, it's buckets, right? And I went to, and I understand for sure, but that's why I think it would help for more clarity and transparency as well when it comes to budgeting, and then also for us, just balance your budget like you would for anything, whether it's your business or anything. And I think that's what we are obligated to do for the citizens of Clearwater as well. So that's kind of where it's spawned from. If we want to include all of that with the travel budget as well, I have no problem with that. And that's why I said let's have this discussion of where we want to guide it, and see that go. Because then each one of us is accountable for what we are spending and where we're going. And we know what's in our account, and to make a prudent decision on where we should be going and allocate those costs effectively. So.
Well, a couple things. One, I'd like, it's not just me, of course I get more invitations than everybody because I'm the mayor to stuff. That's just the reality. But I'm for everybody going. So I would not want to see, because I think, particularly with, the back and forth we've had about public meetings and having, for folks to come up and talk about community issues at public meetings, I think it's more important than ever that we all five go to stuff and engage with our community at events and activities. I would not like to, a little bit easier because I don't have a significant other currently that I'm bringing to these things, but I wouldn't want to see us let, money spent on a spouse or significant other take away from another council member's opportunity to go to more events. So that's the only thing I would say. Is there are some events where, historically Clearwater Gas has gotten a table, and then maybe we bring spouses to those. But for other events, one-off fundraiser for a community organization, I just wouldn't want to, I wouldn't have any problem with the spouse being covered, but I wouldn't want to see that eat into the budget for the five of us to be able to go to things ourselves, or be limited in some way because of that.
Are we discussing separate budgets?
Well, yeah, so from what I'm kind of seeing is the framework of separate budgets for each of us. And Mayor, I completely agree with you. I think you're the face of the city, if I'm being honest. So I think you should be going to more things. But from the way I understand it now, City Manager, is if, and City Attorney, to stay ethical, right? And if our spouse is going, that, the city is paying for that so that things are tracked appropriately. And is all I'm saying is that, obviously I would say that your budget, if whatever this framework comes out to be, your budget should be larger because you should be at more things, right? I'm just trying to make sure that each penny is accounted for and that I know what I have. And then we're not looking at emails to somebody sending out an invitation to an event and then having to check it or run it by the city or city attorney for clarification on whether or not we can go. We just know that we have that in our budget, we can spend that and go to said event. That's where this is coming from.
Yeah, I'm good with that. So we're asking staff to present a proposal, or?
Did you want to talk?
Well, I just mentioned this, and I'm for talking more in depth on this, but it is complicated because, well, we don't take that many trips a year to have a big trip expense. I mean, we go to Tallahassee, that's one trip, and we go to the Phillies, that's another trip. That's two trips I take in a year. That, I think the Japan trip is paid by sister cities, so that's not even in there. But the problem comes when we get a table by, that's why we have it split, trips, and then we have what events do you want to sponsor? And that's in our budget, so we can call it out, where it can't be a vendor of the city because that's when we get in trouble. You know what I mean? That's where the city attorney comes in saying, well, you can't do that because they're a vendor. So you got to pay your own way. And so I think it needs to be, clarified a little more by the city manager on exactly how that goes, because it's a little complicated how they divvy it up. But that could be in part of that discussion that we have.
Right, and again, I want to point to, this is a framework for tickets and events. I wasn't bringing travel into it. That's just become part of the discussion. It was originally for just tickets and events. So,
Well,
wherever.
tickets, are you referring to like Ruth Eckerd tickets? Because those are a whole different thing.
Like CMA.
Like special events, yeah.
Okay.
Anything, yeah.
All right, fine.
If I would ask for something, it would be flexibility, because we all have different situations, right? There's some times where I will choose to go to an event simply because the rest of you are not going, right? We divide and conquer. And if it's evening, I do want my husband to be there because he's my partner and he already doesn't see me. But I do want to have as much flexibility as possible because we all have different circumstances, right? Different situations. The things that I attend to might not be the same as you all, or, Mike, you tend to travel more than I do, so your budget would be, so the more flexibility, I think, would help us as a team get more done. Is it any way that we can lump travel and meet and events, or no?
And I'm not complaining here because it really comes back on me, having not budgeted right at the beginning of the fiscal year. And Mayor Onks didn't go to as many things as I'm going to now, but I'm out of pocket quite a bit on some trips I'm taking, and I'm putting that on me just because I didn't plan very well. I didn't really work with the city manager to come up with a robust enough budget, but I'm attending really meetings the rest of the way out on my own dime. Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, again, this is not in reference to that at all. This spurred from, I don't even remember what the recent event that we were invited to, but it did get kicked up to the city attorney to see how a ticketed event should be sold. So this was in no way related to that. I appreciate you saying that, but it was not at that at all. And then in my conversation with my one-on-one with David, am I not articulating this appropriately? Is there a better way for you to say what I'm trying to convey?
I think here's how I would phrase it. Sherlock Holmes is reported to have said that once we eliminate the impossible, whatever remains, no matter how improbable, must be the truth. And when it comes to ethics law, there are certain things that are impossible. There are certain things we cannot do, those of us who are sitting here on the dais, because we are reporting individuals. What we cannot do is accept gifts from city vendors, city lobbyists, or Florida political committees exceeding $100. So we take that right off the top, because those are things that none of us are allowed to do. Once we have eliminated that category of things that are just flat out illegal, the question then becomes, what can we do, and what are the options for everything that remains? And we have multiple options, because you guys get invited to a lot of stuff, which is good. And, you know, as Councilmember Cotton said, I think it's expected of you guys that you will represent the city at these events, and it benefits Clearwater for you guys to represent the city at these events. So I think it should be encouraged. But the question is, how can we do that legally and ethically, because we cannot accept gifts for the most part, including free tickets to events from city vendors and city lobbyists. And so the answers to that question are multiple. Number one, we handle it already in part because the city sponsors a lot of stuff. The city as an entity arranges contractually through sponsorships, whether it's through Clearwater Gas, whether it's through Parks and Rec, sometimes even through other departments. We arrange for admission for the council and for city staff oftentimes. That goes along with us sponsoring tables. It goes along with contracts the city has that guarantee certain tickets. So for example, with the Baycare Sound, it's a perfect example. Our contract with Ruth Eckerd guarantees and they provide all of those tickets, but that is not an illegal gift because that is part of a negotiated contract and it's something that has been approved in the sunshine, et cetera. So to come back to my point, if we cannot accept gifts from city vendors or lobbyists who want to offer us free tickets to stuff, which sometimes they do because they don't realize they're vendors and lobbyists, and so this happens, then how do we handle that? And we handle that in part through our sponsorships, but it does not cover the full range of events that you guys get invited to. There are hundreds of events that you guys get invited to, and the mayor even more so because he's the mayor. So how can we handle those in an ethical way that does not expose council members to, frankly, what could become ridiculous out-of-pocket, expenses for things that are part of your official job duties? And so I believe one solution to that could be, as Councilmember Cotton is suggesting, coming up with an individual fixed dollar amount for each council member. I would humbly suggest that it may be appropriate for the mayor to have a higher amount because, again, he's invited to more stuff. But whatever amount you guys settle on as a council, you guys would agree through the budgeting process that each council member will have a fixed dollar amount for tickets, event attendance for those matters that are not already covered by city sponsorships. And so that will give you each the benefit of choosing what events do you want to attend. As the mayor said, in some situations you may not have or may not want to bring a spouse. In other situations, as the vice mayor said, there may be a particular event that she chooses to attend precisely because others are not able to attend. And that's okay. So doing a solution like this gives each of you the individual freedom to decide what events you want to go to, as well as whether and under what circumstances you'd like to bring your spouse or guest. But no one's going to be over budget because you all will have a fixed dollar amount. So you will each know coming into the budget cycle exactly what that dollar amount is. I believe that's what Councilmember Cotton and I have suggested. Don't know if the manager may have more.
Yeah, no, and I agree. Just to piggyback off that, there would be, if there's a situation, example, what we have going on right now, where a council member is over and they want to ask for additional funds, there's an opportunity to do that here, and the council has the authority to award or not additional funds. So that would be the manner in which, should that situation arise, that would be handled. And so it's a matter of just understanding that, agreeing to that, and so we can certainly propose that.
I'm fine with it.
Perfect, thank you all.
Yeah.
Okay.
Does that give
So you're gonna
proper direction? Okay.
You're gonna propose a budget for separate.
Yeah, so what we'll do is we'll start with looking at, the past with this council in terms of like what happened, this year and, into last year, and come up with an amount that looks like that would cover that. We'll talk to you all individually on our one-on-ones and see if there's, direction to move forward, and you all can decide as a body if you want to increase or decrease or whatever you want, but that's how we'll come up with a recommended amount, is based on what's been done previously.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Okay, any other new business? Well, if not, we'll move to item 14, closing comments by mayor. No, excuse me, you got something? No.
What?
That's all you're ready
Oh,
to
I
say.
scrolled.
Oh, okay. Closing comments by mayor, and my closing comment is we've talked enough. So I'm going to wish everybody a happy Monday, and for those of you who are mothers in the room, a belated happy Mother's Day to you all. Hope that everyone enjoyed the day and got a chance to relax and enjoy it with your loved ones. So with that, we will adjourn the May 12, 2025 work session with Clearwater City Council.